Well, hello everyone. Welcome to another Friday evening and another live lawn care Q&A. My name is Ron Henry and I'm here to answer your lawn care questions. Sometimes I have the answers, sometimes I don't, but either way, we have a great time talking about lawn care. If it's the first time you're joining the live stream, first of all, welcome. The way this works is really simple. Just drop your questions down into the chat, and then I just work through them in the order that they come in. So it should be a great time. So we got a good crowd here tonight. Let's see who we got here already hanging out in the live stream. We got Keith Mulls in the house, and he can't wait. Thanks for hanging out, Keith. I really appreciate you. And then Todd's Real Lawn saying, "Hey man, I followed your advice, Ron. I started my own YouTube channel, Todd's Real Lawn. Been putting in a lot of work, meeting a lot of great people in the lawn community. Thanks everyone, and thank you, Ron. You're very, very welcome, sir. I mean, it's definitely a ton of work, but it's you'll enjoy it. You meet a lot of cool people. You learn a lot about filmmaking if you really get serious about it. It's a lot of fun. It's a great way to meet new people, like you said. And you got a question here. I'm going to come back to your question, Todd. Let's see who else we got here. We got Papa Mo's Low in the house. What's going on, Papa Mo's Low? Thanks to come hang out with us for a little bit. He says that he's leaving out now to drive his grandson back to Georgia so he can only listen in. Got my Petra Tools fogger and Winterizer Green Pest Control this week. We'll be fogging this weekend. Awesome, man. It's awesome stuff. It's a good combination. Like Alex's tree is still bug-free from the application 2 weeks ago at this point. So I'll probably do maybe this weekend. I'll do a follow-up. But yeah, it's good stuff. Glad that you got everything arrived safely for you. So drive safe on the way back. We got Daryl Tunstall in the house. He says, "Happy Friday evening, everyone. Ron, what's up?" He's got a question about his soil test, about NPK. So I'm going to come back to that, Daryl. And then we got Robert Rainey in the house and Thin Cut in the house. All right, so let's get through the questions. We got a bunch of them queued up. Don't want to keep you guys waiting any longer. So Todd's first question is, he said he dethatched and aerated and now waiting for the soil compost to come tomorrow and then off to help Emilio with his lawn. Very cool. Good that you're helping out another YouTuber. There's a question. Does Scott's seed starter plus weed preventer fertilizer kill existing weeds as well? I'm not familiar with that product. You'd have to look it up and let me know what the active ingredient in it is. I imagine so. If it's a seed starter, it's probably got some kind of a post-emergent in it. Probably doesn't have pre-emergent. But outside of that, I can't tell you for sure. What kind of results you might get with it. It probably will. I mean, that's what in the name it says that it's a starter fert and herbicide. So it's kind of like one of those weed and feed. So it should be all right. It should be fine. Just double check, make sure that there's no weird issues that you could cause with your particular grass type. But yeah, should be good to go. Without knowing anything else about it, just based on the name, I'm gonna think you're gonna be okay. All right, so we'll go to Daryl's question next, and then I got to run down and get some super chats here. He says, "Happy Friday evening, Ron. What up? My question about soil test. My NPK was a little down. No worries." He says, "But my iron and manganese was high. Should I be worried? Thanks." No, not really. Not really. I mean, it's not uncommon for people like us that are always working on our lawns and fertilizing and putting on micronutrient all the time for your micronutrient levels to get a little bit higher than a normal lawn would be. I've actually had some conversations with my soil about it, and they said, yeah, it's nothing really to be concerned about. So yeah, no. The long short of it is focus on the NPK, and I wouldn't sweat the other stuff. Mine is high, Alex's is high. A lot of the soil tests that I get from people that they send to me to look at are also high, so I wouldn't worry about it. The grass looks good. That's a big that's a good stamp that you're going the right way. All right, so we got our first super chat this evening from Mr. Ben Raham.
Super chat received.
He says, "Happy Friday." He says, "Happy Friday to you, sir." Yes, the Triplet quinclorac mix hot did scorch the juvenile Bermuda. Crabgrass is in fact toast though. Fingers crossed for rain. Yeah. I've never tried that combination. But the thing is, with temps where they are, I'm not sure if you're in Georgia, Ben, but we're in the 90s, and there's not a ton of herbicides you can spray when it gets really hot that's not going to ding the Bermuda a little bit. But don't worry about it. It's going to bounce back. We're supposed to get a bunch of rain here in the next couple of days, so I really wouldn't sweat it. You got your mission accomplished, right? You got rid of the crabgrass, which is what you're after. So cannot argue with that. All right, so next up we got Austin B, a super chat.
Super chat.
And it just says $20 from Austin B. Thank you, Austin. I appreciate it. I'm sure you have a question, I would think. So actually, you do have a question. His question is, "Hey, Ron, is there any truth to nutrients getting locked up if you top dress with sand and then topsoil later on? Or is it safe to change material until you get to a point of just maintaining it? It's an interesting question. That's one I've not really researched, Austin. I can tell you I have top dressed my lawn with sand soil mix. And the front lawn has also been top dressed with just organic material and the carbonized PN. My soil test results still look great. I mean, in other words, the inputs that I put into my soil test or into the lawn are reflected in my soil test results. So if I do something like, say, I don't know, like in June, it'll be reflected in the September test. So the answer to that I would say is probably no. I mean, there may be some edge cases where it could happen, but I have done what you're talking about, where I've done different combinations of top dressing materials, and I've not run into that issue. So I think it's kind of overblown. I mean, if you were doing, I don't know, like 3 or 4 inches of sand and 3 or 4 inches of topsoil, you might run into an issue. But if you're top dressing the way I recommend, which is relatively light, like no more than 1/4 to 1/2 inch in one session, everything's going to blend, and that top layer is going to become, fairly homogeneous. So I wouldn't worry about it too much. So good question. It's a good one. I haven't had that one before, but I think you're going to be good to go. All right. So Ben's got a follow-up question. He says,
Super chat received.
Is lots of broad-leaf weeds survive somehow? I think we have time. I'm local to spot glyphosate and tease these fully invaded weeds, or wait it out. I would not do glyphosate. That's just me, man. There's people that think glyphosate is the greatest thing since sliced bread. I would not spray glyphosate on your actively growing grass to treat weeds unless there were no other there's no other option. For the only time you hear you mention glyphosate on actual growing turf is if someone wants to try and knock Dallas grass back a little bit. But for what you're dealing with, broadleaf weeds, there's so many options out there. Now, with the temps where we are, what you might want to try, and kind of a hint of something that's coming out on Sunday. So if you wait till Sunday, you get to see it. I hope I can get the edit done by then. I did a video on Celsius. Celsius and another herbicide that I mixed together that I've been doing some testing with, and it works really, really well. I've been spraying it in just the temps that you see now, and there's been there's no negative impact to the grass. That's one nice thing about Celsius. Even though it's a little bit more expensive herbicide, as far as temperature restrictions, there really aren't any. Now, when you mix it with a surfactant, you can get a little bit of yellowing. I didn't experience that personally, but it can be a thing. But as far as like a herbicide that you can spray once temps are like 65, 70 degrees or higher on up, for warm season grass, Celsius is going to be your go-to. So if you really want to knock out the broadleaf weeds, that's what I would go with. If you want to try out Celsius, you're going to pick it up. I will put it here in the chat for you, Ben. So at Ben Ram, that is what I would go with. I mean, versus I would not do Roundup on your grass. So you can do whatever you want, but that's my feelings on the matter. I just wouldn't. There's too many great selective herbicides that are not going to damage your lawn to take the chance of ruining your grass pretty much for the rest of the season if you get it wrong with by spraying Roundup on it, by spraying glyphosate on there. All right, so Robert Randy's in the house. What's going on, Robert? I appreciate you coming to hang out, sir. And then Thin Cut's in the house. It says, good evening, Ron. Good evening. It says, he had your shoulder surgery on Monday, doing pretty good. I just did my soil test and sent it off. Awesome. Good. Glad to hear the shoulder surgery went well. You say you got Zoysia seed down Saturday. Now the waiting. Can't wait for the results from both. Yeah, man. The thing with Zoysia, I'll tell you, it takes a long time. I don't know what kind you put down. But in my case, I planted compadre Zoysia, and I'm talking about I babied it. It got tons of water. It got pretty much planted in carbonized PN. So you're talking about something that's super rich as far as like a great, a great medium or great, choice of material to grow seed in. Like it doesn't get much better than carbonized PN, and it still lagged behind the Bermuda by a ton. It was probably almost 3 weeks before I even started seeing any little baby Zoysia come out. So just be patient. Make sure you keep it, hydrated, but don't be surprised if it takes a long time to germinate. Like Zoysia is just super slow. Like ryegrass was like a couple days, Bermuda 10 days or so, but then Zoysia took its sweet time, kind of like how it grows. Just took its sweet time coming out of the soil. So I'm glad your surgery went well, and keep us posted on how the Zoysia seeding job works out. All right. Mark F's in the house. What's going on, Mark? Nice to see you again this evening in the live stream. And now Robert Rainey is up next. He has a question about PGR. He says, hey, Ron, I applied PGR this morning as scheduled using a granular, and it recommends applying every 30 days. With that said, when do you shut it down towards the end of the season? So for me, my last PGR app is probably gonna be September. That's traditionally what it's been. If it stays unseasonably hot for longer and the grass keeps growing like crazy, I could do an app as late as the end of Sept or like the last week of September to carry me through the end of the season. But typically for me, September is the last PGR app. Again, unless we get crazy temperatures and the lawn is still growing actively. But I would just follow the label, man. If it says every 30 days, do that. I mean, if you start seeing it come out of regulation a few days early, you can throw it down, but I would not, I won't deviate too much from the label if it were me. So hopefully that helps. In my case, it's going to be September. Worst case, the very, very beginning of October with a light app just to finish out the rest of the growing season. All right, so we got Green M in the house. He says, hey Ron, how's it going? And everyone, it's going to be another hot one this weekend. 107, 109 degrees in San Joaquin, Joaquin Valley. Stay cool and hydrated is what I'm doing. Yeah, man. Yeah, definitely stay indoors. If you're gonna mow, get out early in the morning. You don't want to be out in the middle of the day mowing in that kind of heat. On the topic of staying hydrated, there was something that a viewer pointed out to me. One of the Hydratane links on the store, on the golf course lawn store, the one that has in the ready to spray bottle, like that was broken to where you couldn't buy it. It's kind of bad. But nicely, fortunately, a viewer emailed me saying, "Hey Ron, I already want to order this, but it's not letting me check out." So I fixed that. So if any of you guys were trying to get Hydratane in the ready to spray, that you can now get that. Whereas like all of the season, you probably couldn't. So just something just for you guys to know. If you're since Green M mentioned like high temperatures, and hydration, my mind went to Hydratane. So fun fact. All right. Next up, we have Robert Wallace. He says, "Happy Friday, Ron. Is there a temperature restriction on TurfPlex?" Not that I'm aware of, Robert. I don't really see any on the labels. I can pull it down and look here real quick, but I don't recall ever seeing one on the labels. And I've not really had any issues with spraying it all season long. Remember, if you follow my program, you're spraying TurfPlex every couple of weeks, right? And I've been doing that, and there's been no ill effects, no burning or anything like that. But now here's the thing. Here's the caveat. You always got to have the asterisk, right? The footnote. I apply TurfPlex at the lowest rate. So the bottle, I think, calls for rates from, 6 ounces all the way up to 15.1 ounces. So 15.1 ounces is a quarter of a pound of nitrogen. If you were going that heavy, I don't know how well that would work with higher temperatures. So in my case, spraying at the low rate, 6 ounces per thousand, no negatives with that. So if you're doing that, you should be fine. And again, I've been doing it every couple of weeks, no issues with it whatsoever. Which is another reason why I really like the product. I mean, I did some testing with it, and it's just it's been a really, really good fertilizer. Okay, next up, Two Monsters is in the house. He says, "Hey Ron, what's your go-to smart irrigation controller? I have a Toro Evolution, but the smart add-on costs as much as the Ratio 3. So in my case, now here's the thing, I'm boring, man. I'm just, the thing is, I had the Dial Hunter for a long time. And then when I really decided I was gonna, upgrade and live some of the high life, I went out and I got the Hunter Hydro-Wise. So I'm still using Hunter. Everything's all Hunter. My irrigation system's Hunter. And I'm using their controller. Now, as far as it being a smart controller, like the Ratio 3 is like far, leaps and bounds ahead of it. As far as I think it allows you to do things like it has like a notepad in it, a lot of lots of it being able to pull in data for temperature and rainfall and those kinds of things. The Hunter can do that too. The Hydro-Wise can do that as well too. But I think the Ratio is a little bit more full featured. A lot of people like the interface a lot better. For me, those things don't really matter, right? The big thing for me is just being able to go like on and off using my smartphone. Like I don't really mess with my irrigation that much once it's kind of set up. So for me, I just use the Hydro-Wise. And also given that it's the unit that I have is designed for it's got an outdoor enclosure. It should last forever. You know what I mean? I'm never gonna have to worry about it wearing out or doing anything crazy and that kind of thing. Actually, if you're really interested in seeing what goes into installing one of those, there's a video on the channel about the Hydro-Wise, the Hunter Hydro-Wise. You can check it out and you can actually see Austin Mayfield from Mayfield Irrigation installing it for me. So great question. It's a good one. All right, so we have Ogsan is in the house. He says, "What's Ron? Ron, once again, good Friday. Happy to be here. Looking forward to this session." And guys, this week we're going to be doing. I'm announcing a giveaway, but you're not going to be able to the giveaway is not going to happen. You're not going to get the stuff until the following week. So stay tuned to the show. Got some cool stuff that you guys might like, and I'll be showing you guys here in a little bit what it's going to be. So just stay tuned for that. But so something up here next, our next question from Ogsan, actually go down and get Ogsan's question, is around mowers. Now this is a question that I always kind of leery about answering it, because so for some people the mower they choose is like religion, right? It's like fertilizer choice, right? Is that serious? But he says, Swordman or True Cut, which one? I'm ready to purchase. So we'll start out with assuming you can get both fixed in the area that you're in, right? So if you can, assuming you got someone that can work on both of them. It really depends on what you're after. So both machines, they're both decent machines. They're both good machines. The Swordman has the advantage of being like the Swiss Army knife of lawn care, right? You can do different attachments to it. You can do a dethatcher. You can do a verticutter. I think there's a brush attachment for it too. It does have the rear drum. So as far as like it laying nicer stripes in the True Cut, I think I have to give the nod to Swordman on that. Compared to the True Cut though, the True Cut is a better, in my opinion. Again, you asked me my opinion, so I'm gonna give it to you. In my opinion, the True Cut is a better built machine, meaning that it's heavier, it's just more stout, like it's chain driven. It's like a tank. I mean, they are similar in price range, but they are very different machines from a standpoint of construction and also design goals, right? Like you figure that True Cuts, some of the lawn care services around here, you'll see them with True Cuts on the back of their trucks when they're going to go service lawns. So there's a True Cut, even though it is not like a greens mower, it is considered a commercial mower, meaning that you can run it a lot, you can run it hard, and it's not gonna break down on you, which is why it's chain driven and all this kind of stuff, right? So it depends on what you're after. I personally like the True Cut. I mean, that's my thing. And given the size of my lawn, I'm cutting. Well, it used to be 12,000 square feet, but as you guys see, there's a fence now, so it's probably like 10.5, maybe 11,000 on a good day. The True Cut would hold up better than that. The Swordman, I think if I ran it on my lawn for as much as I mow, I might be replacing parts or changing belts and that kind of thing really frequently. Whereas with the True Cut, I sharpen at the beginning of the season, grease the chain every now and then, and go to town. It just runs, kind of like the greens mower. It just runs. So it depends, man. It depends what you're after. I'm giving you the pros and cons, and then you can decide. For me, it would be the True Cut for me. But it depends on what you're after, and if the interchangeable system is valuable to you to where you want to go out and go for that. So it just depends on like all things, there is no free lunch. You can always buy both, and then you have both options, right? Okay, next up we have a question from Kelby Ruiz. He says, "Happy Friday, Ron. Is there a way to control small broadleaf weeds in the summer heat? Weed and feed?" There is, and I wouldn't do weed and feed. I'm not a huge fan of weed and feed. I mean, the time when I would use weed and feed is the beginning of the year. So the start of the season, if you are gonna, everything's coming out of dormancy. If you really just want to fertilize and take care of some weeds, I guess you could do it then. But I like to decouple like fertilization and weed control. So for summer heat, and I'm assuming you have warm season grass, the herbicide I would recommend is Celsius. I mentioned it to Ben earlier. I'll drop the link in the chat again. I'll link it for you so you can easily find it. You can just find your name. Celsius is, and here's the thing, Celsius is not an inexpensive herbicide, but it's a really, really, really good one, right? So it outside of like POA and like sedges, like its control over sedges is not super awesome, but for everything else, like most broadleaves, even crabgrass, it can take care of that stuff. And there's not really a lot of restrictions around of how high in temperatures you can spray it. Whereas most of the stuff that you go and buy at the big box stores, that is a consideration, right? Like Spectricide, as much as I recommend it and tell a lot of people that are new to go and get it, really you don't want to be spraying that much over 90 degrees. Like 85, 90 degrees, that's about the limit of where you want to be spraying Spectricide. Whereas Celsius, you can go ahead and you can still get away with that, and it's not gonna adversely affect your lawn. So if it were me, that's what I'd recommend. Go with Celsius. If you're trying to control, again, like sedges that you wouldn't have POA this time of year, but if you had some sedges that you're trying to take care of, then mix a little bit of certainty in with it, and you should be good to go. That concoction works really well. And actually, there's a video coming out for that on Sunday. Hopefully, if I can get my edit done, it'll be it'll go live on Sunday. So you guys can check that out on mixing those two herbicides, like how I do it, testing I've done, and the results I've gotten with it. So hopefully you enjoy that. Hopefully that's helpful. All right, we got Clayton Wilson in the house. What's going on, Clayton? I saw you in the chat, man. I saw you in the. I appreciate you chiming in the on the video and letting me, just interacting. It's cool to see people that actually like follow the content and also come to the live stream. So appreciate you, sir. 007 Lawns in the house, and then we got a next question from Brian Vahan. I think I'm pronouncing that right. If I'm not, sorry, I apologize. He says, "Hey Ron, what should be the last 1608 app of the summer? And what would you use afterwards as a winterizer? Triple 12 and when? Bermuda and upper state South Carolina weather. Thanks." You can winterize with, I guess you could winterize with 1608 if you were doing it earlier in the season. But if you want something that's going to be slower release, the triple 12 is not a bad option. I'm probably just going to use Humic Max, to be completely honest. I'm going to do my last fertilization in more than likely in October, like a very, very light app, like half of a half rate application, maybe a quarter pound of N tops in October, mainly because I don't want to take the chance of feeding or putting too much nitrogen into the soil and possibly causing like a fungus problem for myself next spring. So the triple 12 can definitely work. You can go with that if you want. I would probably just stick with Humic Max, man, and just back the rate down. Late September, early October, go light, and you should be good to go. And as well, if you had dealt with any fungus issues like I did, where you had like spring dead spot or anything like that, get a fungicide down. I didn't do it last year. I traditionally don't. I try to limit how often I apply fungicides. And I paid for it this spring, right? I had a couple of spots that were pretty nasty, and I've also got a little bit of red thread in the front lawn here. Just a little bit of that I may just put some nitrogen down and see if I can make it grow through it. But worst case, I might end up with some fungicide down on the front lawn. If you guys are interested in seeing that, tomorrow morning I'll just do a YouTube story and I'll show you guys what I'm dealing with. So yeah, if you guys want to see Ron's lawn with some fungus in it, check it out. Check me out tomorrow morning. All right, Daniel's Lawn Care's in the house. What's going on, Daniel? Thanks for hanging out from down under. And REG's in the house. Says, "Woot woot, Ron, and another live stream." Yeah, man. Thanks for coming to hang out. I'm glad that you are here. All right. So Tom V has a question about spoon feeding. He says, "Hi, Ron. I want to try my hand at spoon feeding my lawn. Do I have to buy a battery powered sprayer, or can I use a manual pump unit? Any recommendations to keep costs down?" So here's the thing, I've never personally used any. I've seen the guys that the lawn care guys that have like the manual pump ones, like the still units. I don't know how good those are about like having consistent pressure. If they are good about that, then it should work fine, right? They should work fine. One thing I would not do is using like any kind of hose end sprayer. I wouldn't do that, but you probably could get by with a good quality pump sprayer. You probably could, depending on the size of your lawn. If you don't have a big area to spray, you could do that. I mean, I'll tell you, battery powered is nice because it's really consistent, and it's just you're not doing this the entire time while you're walking the lawn and spraying. So yeah, I think it can work well. Work on your technique, and you absolutely should be able to pull that off. Like a good example, the first time when I had PGR done on my lawn, I had the guy that did the top dressing come out and do it because I wanted to see how he put it down and how he applied it, and he used a backpack sprayer that was manual. So I got a good result with it. So it absolutely can work. Just make sure that you're using the equipment properly, and you get used to calibrating it and all that kind of stuff. So cool, man. And as far as spoon feeding, I've got, if you haven't checked out my videos on that, I've got some content on spoon feeding, as far as granular and liquid fertilizers that I like to use and the rates. If you just look up YouTube.com Ron Henry and spoon feeding, you'll find probably a couple of videos on that topic. So hopefully that helps out. Glad that springtime is almost there for you, Daniel. It's very cool. And Chadons says, "Hey Ron, just got a super clean cut in the front yard just now. Came back inside to watch the stream before doing the backyard." The stream goes on for a while, man, or it may. Depends on how many questions we get. It can go on for hours. So depending on where you are in the country, you might want to get your mow in. You might. I'm just, I appreciate you, but I don't want to keep you back from finishing up the back lawn. All right, and congrats on that, Daniel. Nice getting 150 subs. It's pretty cool, man. That's a big accomplishment. All right, so the next question we have is from Skinny Geek 10. It says, "Hey Ron, is it okay to spray TurfPlex on the lawn in the morning when there's dew, or would evenings be better?" I've done it both ways. Primarily, I spray in the morning times, and I've gotten a good result both ways. So yeah, the big thing, Skinny Geek, is just you don't want to spray it when there's going to be rain like an hour later. Like you want to spray it on the grass, give it time to dry, and then you're good to go, right? So the only restrictions I'd say around like water and TurfPlex is you don't want to do it like when it's actively raining, obviously, and you don't want to do it when it's going to rain like an hour or so right after you finish applying it. But as far as applying it with dew, I've had no issues with doing that. When I do my PGR, I do it most of the times in the morning when there's a little bit of dew on the lawn. The one nice thing about that is that it makes it really easy to get your overlap really good, right? You know, if you do it when the grass is completely dry, unless you got like stripes burned in, or you're really disciplined about like how much you move over in each pass, you can miss spots fairly easily. But when you have the dew on the lawn, it's really easy to say, okay, I'm 6 feet over from that last pass. I can see my footprints. So that's one benefit of doing it. And also why I prefer that that method as well. So also mow in the morning too. I get better stripes that way. All right, what's going on, Dalvin? Thanks for coming to hang out, sir. Appreciate you being in the live stream. And then Daniel's saying, at Ron Henry, I've been writing scripts as such and knowing what shots I need, and the videos are turning out way better. They do, man. I mean, not to go off on a YouTuber, segue here, but yeah, the more you plan, kind of like anything else in life, right? The more you plan your videos, the better they're going to turn out. Like, good example, like this is the script from the video that will come out on Sunday, hopefully. And the yellow stuff are all the B-roll shots that I want to get. And the green stuff is where I'm like telling myself, make sure you do this when you're in the video. Make sure you like move here when you do that kind of stuff. So I script it all out. Then I go out and shoot all the B-roll, and then I go and shoot all the A-roll, and then it's just a big assembly package where I just put things together. And as long as as long as it comes out the way I think it's going to come out in my mind, the process really isn't that bad. It takes longer initially, but then when you get out there with a camera, you know exactly what you're doing, and it actually saves time. So yeah, good stuff, man. I'm glad that you're getting into scripting. It's going to make your content a lot better. All right, so Kelby Ruiz is in the house. He's got another question here about Scott's Green Max. He says, I put Scott's Green Max in the yard about 2 weeks ago, 2702, still not super happy with the lawn color and looking for a deeper green. Time for Brand Supreme Green. I do need the micros. Yeah, I mean, so you could go, if you already have Brand Supreme Green, you could totally rock that. The thing is, Scott's Green Max, normally hits pretty hard, man. That's I want to say it's almost 5% iron in that. I think I don't remember the label off the top of my head. I thought the iron in that was a little bit higher, but yeah, I mean, you can go with Brand Supreme Green. What I've been using and have been having really good results with is a liquid fertilizer called Nutrizolve. So if you don't have Brand Supreme Green as yet, I'll show you right here. You can come over to the Golf Course Lawn Store. You can scroll down, and right here, lower left-hand corner, assuming you're on like a PC or a Mac, is a Nutrizolve. So this is a complete micronutrient, whereas Brand Supreme Green is it's iron and manganese and maybe a little bit of zinc, I think, whereas this is an entire micronutrient stack. So you got everything in this. You got iron, manganese, zinc, copper, and boron. Like all your micros are in here in a really good ratio. So this is a great option if you have not if you don't already have some Brand Supreme Green. If you got that, roll with that. But if not, Nutrizolve is what I've been using, and I and other people have been using it and getting really good results with it. So just something to consider. Keep in mind though, it's depending on the grass type. I mean, I wish you had a picture of it just to see, because Bermuda can get pretty dark. Like you see my lawn, it can get fairly dark, but like your grass type can influence that as well too, right? So Bermuda, as nice as it looks, it doesn't get as dark as like say ryegrass or Kentucky bluegrass as far as like a really insanely dark, deep, like bluish green. But yeah, Green Max should have done the trick. If not, I would go with some Nutrizolve and see if that helps. Brand Supreme Green will also work as well too. So hopefully that helps out. One thing I might say too, Kelby, is if it continues to be an issue, if you've not done a soil test this season, something to consider doing. A soil test, the one I recommend is this one here, the one from My Soil. Super easy to use. These are the ones that I've been using on my lawn for well over a year now. Since last year, I've been testing quarterly. I like the data. So something else to check if you are putting down, what should be giving you a deeper green, you're not getting a good response, it's worth perhaps checking just to make sure there's nothing else funny going on with your soil. So just something to consider. All right. Leo Garcia is up from Austin. He says, hey, what's going on from Austin, Texas? What's going on, Leo? Thanks for coming to hang out. Appreciate you. And then Evening Ron from Tiffany Smith from Ron and places all around the globe. Thanks for coming to hang out, Timothy. And Keys Kennard. We got Brett's Grasscapades. What's going on, Brett, man? Brett's in the house. For those of you guys who don't know, Brett of Yard Mastery, Alan's right-hand man. Logistics Jedi is hanging out with us. He also has a lot of great content. Like Brett's one of the, as Alan pointed out, he's one of the few guys that has a lot of experience with cool season grass and now with a Bermuda lawn warm season. So his content's really good. If you guys have not checked it out, absolutely go do that because he puts out some fun stuff. It's great to watch. All right, next up we got Martin Home. He says, "What's up, Ron? Martin Home, aka Dwizzle, checking in. I appreciate it, Dwizzle. It's good to know because sometimes you guys have names, and it's good to be able to know who I'm talking to based on that. Because you guys change your avatars or change your stuff around sometimes. So, c'est la vie. All right, thank you, Ned. I really appreciate it. He says, "Yeah, hit the like button, people. Yeah, we got 35 likes and we got 89 people in here. So if you guys wouldn't mind touching the like button ever so gently." Really appreciate it. It's free to support the channel and sends good vibes to the algorithm. And let me take a sip of my lemonade. No Milos tonight, guys. I'm back on Publix. I'm not on the Publix life. All right. So next up, we got FXR Pauler as a question. He says, "Ron, if you must get rid of Bermuda grass in an area." Okay, before I read the rest of your question, why would you need to get rid of Bermuda grass in an area? I don't understand that, but we'll go on. He says, "What's your best non-herbicide method?" Wow. I'm moving forward with cardboard coverage, no water, weekly dethatching, and scalping. Your thoughts? Yeah. I mean, if you want no herbicides, you're telling me I can't spray anything on it. Eliminating sunlight is going to be the way to do it. So if you can cover it with some cardboard or plastic or something, just that's gonna do two things. It's gonna get rid of all the sunlight, and is also going to just starve it. Like it's not going to get water's not going to get on it, anything like that. That could work. I don't know how well it would work. And once you remove the whatever you're using to cover it, you're going to want to, to your point, you can dethatch and scalp and try and get it out. But I got to tell you, Bermuda's pretty tenacious, man. You can do that, but just know that it's probably going to come back. So what I would do is this. I'm assuming that you want to get rid of the Bermuda because you want to put something else in there. I might go through a couple of rounds of that, like what you're suggesting. And then plant or apply whatever it is that you want to actually have grow in that space and use and just hope and pray that the time you've got, that the head starts are giving the new turf grass that you want to put in there, like knocking the Bermuda back, you've got yourself enough time for that to get established. But the Bermuda is probably still going to come through on some level. It's just really hard to get rid of Bermuda. Really, really, really difficult. But yeah, I think you have a great plan for the non-herbicidal approach to getting rid of Bermuda. I wish you just keep it though. It's nice. It's great grass. All right. So Daniel's Lawn Care saying, "I'm really enjoying my own YouTube channel. It's a lot of work, but I can't wait to get bigger and start growing. Spring is almost here. Woohoo. Yeah, man." So here's the thing, in your downtime, Daniel, while I look for the next question, I'll give you a piece of advice. Like in this downtime, don't waste it. Like start thinking up of video ideas and scripting them and, start looking at how you can batch videos together. So if you're doing a piece of content, see how you can do like multiple pieces of content in the same day of sorts, right? And then the best advice I could give you also is once you're getting into YouTube is invest in some really big hard drives and save all of your B-roll. It will make you get faster and faster when it comes to editing because you can have all this footage that you can just cut and paste and just reuse. So just something to keep in mind. All right. Kevin Wilkinson says, "Hey, I ordered my soil test and can't wait to send in for the results." It's cool, Kevin. Definitely let us know how it goes. And then we have the man, the myth, the legend, Princess Cut Lawn Care. George is in the house. He says, "What's up, dude? Not too much, man. I'm actually got pulled away from Final Cut. I was in there in a serious editing session. I was like, oh man, I gotta get showered up, cleaned up, and get ready for the live stream. But you know how it is, man. You get deep in there and you're deep in the edit. You don't want to get pulled away when all the creative juices are flowing. But yeah, man, glad to see you hanging out in the live stream. As always, hope everything's going well on your end. Philly Phil 99's in the house. What's going on? And then Dalvin has a question about seed heads. How are you still getting seed heads this time of year, Dalvin? What's going on, man? I don't know. He says, "Still getting seed heads. I know I'm giving it plenty of water, spoon feeding, carbon kit, etc. But I'm not using PGR due to new sod. What else can be a contributing factor?" Have you? I think you've done a soil test, Dalvin, right? Man, it's just I'm not sure. I really don't know. I mean, because I don't have any seed heads on my lawn. Alex doesn't have any in his. Even the neighbors, the only lawns in the neighborhood around here that have seed heads are ones where the grass is being allowed to grow a little bit taller. PGR does help with that, right? It does help with suppressing like upward growth, which will also help with seed heads. So I guess that's a good point. I don't deal with seed heads, but my lawn has had PGR on it since May, so that could be it. I mean, depending on how you said your sod is new. I don't know how new are we talking about here? If it's 6 months old or something along those lines, I mean, you can put PGR on it. You're not gonna kill it as long as you're applying it at the correct rate. You're not gonna damage anything. But you might want to give that a shot because PGR does help or can help with seed head suppression. Outside of some kind of nutrient deficiency or lack of water, but you're saying you're putting plenty of water on it. That's the only thing I can really think of, and also and mowing frequency. That's another thing, right? So you didn't say how often you're mowing. But if the grass gets taller, the taller Bermuda gets, the more likely it is you're going to get seed heads. So if you're on it all the time, mowing it this time of year, probably 3 times a week. If you're kind of hardcore, that's do a lot for keeping the seed heads at bay. So just something to consider. All right. So we got a sidebar with Brett and Princess. And we have a question here now from Alexander Thomas. He says, "Hey Ron," or more of a comment. He says, "Hey Ron, finally got my California trimmer last month. I had to add a 4-inch extension for the handle. I see the mower isn't made for 6-8 people." Yeah, I can see that. Well, there's the thing, Alex. Not much is really made for 6-8 people, right? I'm sure with your clothes, you got to go out and you got to probably get custom. If you got a suit, you're definitely not buying anything off the shelf for that, right? So being 6'8", yeah, I mean your mower and a bunch of other stuff is probably not gonna, it's not gonna be designed to fit you just without some kind of modification. But looks like you got it worked out, and if hopefully you're enjoying the California trimmer as well too, man. So yeah, welcome to the life of tall people. Everyone keeps saying, "Man, I wish I was as tall as you." Yeah, you want like always having to get like your dress shirts tailored because you can't either they're too big or like the sleeves are too long. Or too short. You have to pick your poison, right? So I feel your pain, sir. All right, next up we got Adam Reed. He's saying, "Hey, I sprayed army worms and spurge today. The army worms are bad this year." I've not really dealt with that in my lawn. I've not seen too much of an issue with it. I did put down a cellar pit earlier in the season, and then I also did use the pest control, which will treat or will suppress. It'll get rid of army worms as well too. So it's a 2-pronged approach. If you want to put down, a traditional insecticide, you can do that. But then also the pest control as well can help with that as well. Adam Reed. So hopefully that helps. Our next question, our next point up here, we got Green M telling everyone to hit the like button. And then HR, Mr. Helmet Ruckus, has a question. He has a question about the time between the last applications. "Hey Ron, how much time should pass between the last application of anything and a soil test to not have a false reading? Thanks as always, and appreciate all you do." Great question. I can tell you what I do. HR, I try to give it as much time as possible. So in my case, that's like 4 weeks. So I will go ahead and I will put down, like I said, I did Humic Max. What is this, August now, right? So I'll do the Humic Max like the last week of July, and then I will not test until like literally the day before I'm supposed to do my next application. That's what I've done, and I've gotten pretty good results with it. And the soil test data that I get back doesn't have any kind of crazy moves, right? Like if I got my soil test results back and like the NPK shot up a ton, or some other nutrient shot up at a rate that's kind of unlikely over a 3-month period, I might be concerned. But yeah, I've been testing literally every 3 months, and that tends to work well. So as much time as possible is the right answer, right? In my case, because I'm literally putting down granular every month. I wait right before my next granular application before I soil test. So in my case, it's about 4 weeks. That's a good question. It's a good one. But yeah, the longer you can wait, obviously, the better. We got a super chat from Goldie Mojica.
Super chat.
Says a pair character doing a classic mic drop. Thanks, Goldie. I really appreciate it. I kept trying to visualize that. I'm sure it looks pretty cool. Appreciate the support. Thanks so much again. All right, so Dalvin has a question about double cutting. He says, are there any benefits from double cutting your lawn in one session other than just wanting to mow? Been doing that for the past couple of mows to help with seed heads. Yeah, I mean, you get a better cut. Like the lawn looks better. Like when I cut my lawn in one, I've tried it both ways. So I can tell you both what I've done on a couple different situations and my thoughts on it. So I've double cut where I've mowed the lawn twice in the same pattern. So I made like a cut. Say I'm cutting lengthwise. I do another mow and I just go over those stripes again, like burning in the stripes in the same direction. That works pretty well, but the best cut is when I mow like perpendicular. So if I mow like lengthwise, you take the soil test kit as our example. If I mow this way for the first mow, and then I do the next one this way, that produces a really, really good cut. Like the turf looks, it helps get rid of any stragglers, and just the quality of the cut is just a lot better. So outside of that, you're saying you're doing it to help with seed heads. Yeah, I could see that. But yeah, the biggest reason is just you get a better cut and it looks cool. But it also takes twice as long, right? So something to keep in mind. I wouldn't necessarily do that every single time, because the thing to keep in mind too, right, Dalvin, is whenever you're running the mower on the lawn, it is wear, right? So in the middle of the lawn, you're not going to see it as much, but along the borders or any places where people also tend to walk a lot, if you're making like every single mowing session, you're essentially hitting those areas twice, you are introducing more wear and stress to the grass. So there's something else to keep in mind. For me, I would save the double cuts for, company coming over, some special event, something like that. If you want the lawn looking really good for, say, like Labor Day weekends coming up, that would be a reason to do it. But as far as a matter of practice every time, it's not something that I would personally do, mainly because I don't have the time to do it. But yeah, hopefully that helps answer your question. Next up, we got Skinny Geek 10 in the house with a public service announcement. He says, public service announcement, wear those safety glasses. I was spraying a ready-to-spray bottle of fungicide, and I blasted my face with it while trying to unlock that tab. Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, even in my video, the one that you guys will, hopefully if I get it done, you guys will see Sunday, or any of my videos when it comes to spraying products or fungicides or herbicides, anything with a side in it, you'll see I always say wear safety, wear iPro. Even though most of the labels don't actually call for it. Like most labels for fungicide, herbicides will say shoes with socks, long sleeve, long pants, long sleeve shirt, and gloves. Not many of them will also specify that you wear glasses, but for the reason that you just said there is the reason why I also do it. Not that I'm afraid of blasting myself in the eye, because I primarily use a backpack sprayer. But with drift, right? Like you could be out there spraying, and if a gust of wind kicks up, you could blow some of the stuff in your face. In general, you just want to keep stuff out of your eyes. If at all possible. And it's not that much of an inconvenience. Like wearing the long sleeve attire is way more uncomfortable than just putting safety glasses on. So thanks for sharing that. Skinny Geek 10, I concur with your public service announcement. All right, Super TA's in the house. What's going on? It says, hello from hot and sticky New Jersey. Lawn is still holding its own. Man, what do you know about hot and sticky? You got to come down here to Georgia, man. We've got crazy heat down here. Granted, we don't have, it's not terribly humid, but it is hot. It's probably hotter than Jersey. You have to look at the weather and see, but it's really, really hot. And we're supposed to get a bunch of rain all of next week, but that's supposed to happen this week, and it didn't happen. So I'm not holding out hope. But anyway, at any rate, thanks for coming to hang out, Super TA. Appreciate having you in the live stream. And then next up, we have Keith Mullen is in the house. It looks like there's a question about top dressing or tree removal. He says, removing a tree, need to level the dirt area around it to match existing lawn about a foot at the deepest corner. Wow, foot. At the deepest corner, about 100 square feet. Many different thoughts on what material to use. What are your thoughts? Okay, if it were me, Keith, I would use topsoil or fill dirt up until like 2 inches or so above the height, like that what you would call good. Like I wouldn't do sand. If you want to do topsoil, you can, but you're just gonna have to make sure you compress it, pack it down really, really well. Even for a foot, I don't even know that I would even do a soil sand blend. I would lean more towards either fill dirt or topsoil that gets compacted down up until you get closer to the surface. When you're trying to do the finishing work and blend it, that's when I would go with what you guys saw in my video on fixing a rut in your lawn using a combination of sand and compost. That is what I would recommend. If you've not seen that video, I'll put it here in the chat for you. But yeah, for the most part, I would try and do most of the fill work with soil that best matches the existing soil that you have in your lawn, and then just top with a sand soil or sand compost blend. And I will send you that link here to Keith at Keith. Keith, you're not here. There you are at Keith Mullen. You'll see the video I'm talking about right there. So if you want to check that out, I would much appreciate it. Okay. At Skinny Geek. So I guess he's asking George about what he thinks about the Owlet Liberty, and George is saying that he loves it, but honestly, you can't speak with the Liberty. I've never tried it. Very, very cool. And let me look here for the next question. But first we have DMPAG 9 in the house. He's saying at 97 degrees in South Texas, this Arden 15 is tough. It is tough, man. That's one thing I'll notice. The Tifway part of my lawn does seem to all Bermuda likes heat, but the Tifway discolors faster than the Arden 15 does. Like if it starts getting a little warm, and I'm not putting as much water on it, the Tifway falls off before the Arden 15 falls off, which is kind of cool. Kind of cool. And David Lee's in the house. David Lee Views. What's up, Ron? Happy Friday, brethren. And then Dalvin Larry says, this is his last question he promises. Somehow, I doubt that, Dalvin, we're going to answer it anyway. He says, it's been super hot, well above 90 degrees. I know you shouldn't apply Spectricide in this weather. Do you know of another herbicide that can be applied for spurge, crabgrass, and nutsedge? I know a combination that can work for that. So for crabgrass and spurge, you can go with Celsius. That will work. And for nutsedge, so here's the thing. Celsius is rated for, I think, yellow nutsedge, I think. But really, it's not that great against sedges. Like for sedges, you really want to go with something like Certainty. Like Certainty will pretty much smoke any sedge, and it's a slower working herbicide. So it's not like some of the stuff that you put it down and like the next day you're going to see everything dying off. It takes a little longer to work. Kind of like Celsius is a little bit slower working, but it's also not going to, or hasn't, I shouldn't say it's not going to, anything can happen, but it's much less likely to negatively impact your lawn. So Dalvin, I will give you links to both of those. So here you go, at Dalvin, let me see, at Dalvin Larry in the house. Boom, and there you go. Now, the negative to what I'm suggesting is that it's expensive, right? So Certainty is around $100, and then lower 100, it's like $110, and then Celsius is around the same thing. The thing about it is, though, is that like literally a bottle of Certainty or a bottle of Celsius is going to last you, unless you have like a ton of weeds and you're spraying a lot of lawns, it'll last you years, like 5, 6, 7 years. I mean, I was talking to the guys locally at Site 1 the other day when I was just by just visiting, just hanging out, saying, hey, one of the guys was telling me he has a bottle of Celsius that's 9 years old. So he's had it for like 9 seasons, and the only one he uses it for spot spraying. As long as you keep it dry, keep it nice and tight, it still works great. So yes, the upfront investment's a little bit more expensive, but as far as something you can just hang on to and it's going to work for a long time, and that is going to, and to meet to your point, you can spray when temps are higher with less chance of damaging the grass. It's really hard to beat Celsius. And then for sedges, mix some Certainty in there, and you'll be good to go. Good to go. Just make sure you also get put some surfactant in with it, and then that's a thing. So I didn't link a surfactant for you, but you should probably already have that. If not, let me know, and I'll put one in the chat for you to go with. The one I use is called High Yield, just in case you're wondering. All right, Ryan Layton has a question about Bermuda. He says, "Do Bermuda grow okay in these 105 degree temperatures?" I mean, it'll survive it, but not many grasses like temps that high. So like anything else, is 105 degrees temperature going to kill Bermuda? No, not likely. Is it going to stress it enough that if you're not putting enough water on it, that it could go into dormancy, could start falling back a little bit or discolor? Yeah, that could happen. But as far as a grass that can just take a ton of heat and just also really resilient, Bermuda is is a really good choice. A good example, like I did some testing on the Bermuda, the Zoysia, and the ryegrass plot. Like I went like 4 days and I didn't water any of them. And mind you, they're in a small little planter, right? And so that planter actually gets pretty hot compared to the rest of the lawn because it's all surrounded on all 4 sides. And when the sun beats down and heats that up, it's almost like an oven cooking that soil and cooking the grass, right? In 4 days, the ryegrass was shriveling up and looking. It pretty much, I lost a lot of the ryegrass behind that, right? It died. The Zoysia discolored. The Bermuda also discolored some, but as soon as I put water on them, the next day I watered them, them, the following day they're like, whoop, they're like good to go. They responded, they pop right back in. So as far as a grass that can take a lot of heat and just be really resilient, Bermuda is a great choice. So yeah, I don't have 105-degree temperatures all the time, but I'm sure Bermuda is going to be fine in that. Ruben Gonzalez is in the house from Florida. He says, "Hey Ron and everyone down here in Central Florida, raining a lot. You guys do get a lot of rain in Central Florida, so thanks for chiming in and letting us know." And then Ryan has a follow-up question. He says, "Does Bermuda grow okay in 105-degree temperatures? I scalped a few days ago, hoping it will come back. Fingers crossed." Okay, see, now you're telling us the whole story. First it was, will it just grow? And now, will it grow after being scalped at 105 degrees? Yeah, it's going to come back. Make sure you put some water on it. Make sure you don't let it just suffer and figure things out. But yeah, it's you didn't kill it if that's what you're worried about. I don't know that 105-degree temps is when I would have chosen to do that, but you're gonna be just fine. All right, next up we have Austin Singleton. He has a question about organic fertilizer. He says, "Hey Ron, do you have an organic fertilizer that you recommend?" It depends on what you're looking for in an organic fert, right? So there is Milo, like Milorganite's a staple, assuming you can find it these days. That's a decent choice. For liquids, and again, it depends on how much nitrogen, how much NPK you're after. I mean, even look at something like NutriKelp, right? I mean, this is technically an organic fertilizer, or it's an all-natural fertilizer where you've got 1% nitrogen, 1% phosphorus, and 4% potassium. Not very much. But if you want something that's going to be, very, very safe, that's not going to damage your grass, NutriKelp's an option. You can get that at the golf course lawn store. I've got that in a bottle just by itself if you want to go that route. But yeah, for a granular, probably Milo is an option. Trying to think of anything else. Yeah, probably Milorganite. That's what I would say. That's what I've used, and I've had pretty good results with for many, many years until I learned about Lebanon turf, and then, things changed after that. All right, Lee Moore's in the house. Is going on? He says, "Happy Friday." What's going on, Lee? Happy Friday. Thanks for coming to hang out in the live stream. And Kelby's got a follow-up question. He says, "Father-in-law has a question." All right. He says, "What is the best way to reseed Bermuda if I'm wanting to thicken it up? I think I have common Bermuda." Okay, so the best way, Kelby, to thicken up Bermuda is not with seed. It's not like Bermuda's different to cool season grass. Like for cool season people, that's totally a good strategy, right? Like if your cool season grass is a little bit thin, you can put some seed down, and that's a way to help it thicken up. Bermuda is a grass that spreads, like a creeping grass, right? So as long as you're mowing it regularly, and it's getting enough sunlight. So if you got decent soil, it doesn't have to be great soil. If you got decent soil, plenty of sunlight, and you're mowing it often, preferably at lower heights, it's going to thicken up. So when I say lower heights, what I mean is if you can get Bermuda down to 1.5 inches or lower, like really good things happen as far as how dense it can get. Really, it can look decent at 2 inches, but really 1.5 inches or lower is where it really begins to really thicken up and get like that carpet-like look to it. And that really just comes from mowing, right? There's not really anything like putting down seed. I mean, honestly, to get to seed Bermuda, you actually want to do the opposite. You would not want to put down grass seed on a thick or overseed Bermuda that is thick with grass seed because it's not going to germinate. You actually want to thin out the existing Bermuda and then put seed down. But again, I would not do that. I would just, the Bermuda you have now, the common Bermuda you have for your father-in-law, I would tell him if he has like a rotary or whatever kind of mower he has, set it a little bit lower. So, 2 inches or so if he's got a rotary, he's just trying to get into this. But by doing that, he's got to commit to mowing twice a week, at least twice a week. The more often you mow, the faster it's going to thicken up. And you also get basically natural weed control as a byproduct of that as well. So really thickening up Bermuda, and it's true for most grass types, really is more a function of mowing practice than seeding, if that helps. So definitely tell your father-in-law that appreciate the question, and hopefully that helps. The nice thing is he doesn't have to go out and put seed down or run up a crazy high watering bill to get his lawn to thicken up. All he's got to do is just mow it a whole lot more. And to be fair, in addition to that, make sure you've got if he's not fertilizing, make sure he's fertilizing the lawn so it's got plenty of juice or food for the grass to grow. But then after that, it really comes down to mowing. Okay, next up we have Two Shots of Vaca in the house. He says, "Hey Ron, you think you have enough time? Think I have enough time to do a small renovation. My vanity strip is covered with crabgrass and bumps. Got Arden 15 seed to put down. Yeah, you still got time. I think aren't you in Texas? I think you're in Texas. If you are, then yeah, you still, I mean, what are we now? We're into the second week of August. Yeah, I mean, here's the thing, what I would say, 2 shots of vodka. You can definitely get the crabgrass. You can do a lot to help the weeds. What I would do is this. What I would try is this first, all right? I would work on getting the weeds under control, and then just start, like same answer I just gave to Kelby's father-in-law, is start mowing a ton, start mowing a lot. You can still overseed, or you still can seed with Arden 15 if you want. Like if you're telling me you want to like get rid of all the weeds, like burn it all down and just put just Arden 15. If you're going to do that, you got to get on it, because the thing is there's still enough heat and enough summer left to get it to germinate. But you want to give the grass as much time as possible to get well established, get rooted in properly, so that whenever winter comes in a few months, well, not a few months, like 5 months from now, you're not going to have an issue with it being stressed and you losing some of it over the winter. So if you're going to do a full renovation where you're just trying to burn everything down and then seed with RN15, go for it. But you got to get going. If you're gonna do that. And obviously, like you've seen me talk about in all my other videos, make sure you've got plenty of water. We'll keep the area that you're renovating wet once you get the seed down. And give it a shot. I mean, it's either that or you're gonna wait till next year. So outside of the cost of some seed and some water, what have we really got to lose at this point? All right, DW Davis is up next. He's got a question. He says, I'm glad to see you're live again. I may have missed it, but can you talk about dealing with late season crab and goosegrass? If you already did, please excuse me. No, I didn't talk about dealing with goose. I'm not sure if certain people do, if Celsius will do goosegrass. It's a good question. I should check the label and see on that one. As far as crabgrass, here's the thing, DW Davis. Crabgrass is way easier to kill the younger it is. So if you got like fully established, crabgrass that's been growing all season, and now you want to spray a herbicide on it to knock it out, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough this late in the game to get rid of it. If you got really, really big crabgrass, what I would probably do for me is I would just physically remove it, and then whenever the baby crabgrass comes back in the spot where you pull the weed out, that is where you could get into using something like Celsius to control it. Because I mean, I'm assuming that this time of year, if it's this late, that the crabgrass you got is probably more mature. The nice thing about Celsius too is that it is, as far as temperature restrictions, you can spray it with temps are a lot higher with less chance of damaging the lawn. So that is what I would go with. I don't know off the top of my head if Celsius is rated for goosegrass, but just check the label and see. I'm not sure. I have to go through the label and check and see if it is. If either it or Certainty will do it. I mean, there's definitely a herbicide that'll take care of it. I just don't know if Celsius will. But just check the label. Hopefully that helps. Great question. I really do appreciate it. And if you need a link for Celsius, I will send that to you here at DW Davis. Before you buy it, again, check the label for Celsius and or Certainty and make sure that it's going to do what you need it to do. For crabgrass, yes, you're going to be good to go. For the goosegrass, I'm not so sure. All right, next up we got Thin Cut in the house. He has a question. He says, what are we drinking tonight, Ron? I've got Pepsi tonight. Touch that like button ever so gently. I appreciate that, Thin Cut. I really do appreciate it. So what I'm drinking tonight is lemonade. Like I did ice up to here. So I do it. I did ice up to here and then water and then lemonade. So just a taste of lemonade, because like straight lemonade is just too sweet for me. So, but yeah, if you guys wouldn't mind touching the like button ever so gently, I'd really appreciate it. We're at the top of the hour. I'm gonna take a sip of my lemonade and we will get on to the next question. All right. So our next question is from, it's Audacity. It says, do you have an opinion on TIF versus 419? Ignoring the shade and water benefits, is there any traffic benefits for a full sun yard with irrigation? It's a good question. Here's the thing, it's Audacity. I've never compared the two of them side by side to be able to say. I think that Real Rollers Bermuda plat, I believe that's TIF. I think it is. I think it is TIF, and it looks good. It's a good looking grass. I'd have to go over there. I haven't been over to see Lee and the guys in a while. It's a great looking grass. I don't know, how the two of them match up. In the name, TIF is supposed to be more shade tolerant, supposed to resist wear better than Tifway 419. So if the marketing is to be believed, TIF is probably the better choice. I just don't know how much better it really is. I can't say, because I've never really done a side by side. But if you're in the market for either one of them, I would probably say Tiff Tough is probably the one you want to go with, given the requirements you have of high traffic benefits and things like that. I mean, another thing with Tiff Tough, another thing you think about consider with Tiff Tough is it's probably more expensive than Tiffway 419, because like all the lawns around here, whenever they put new lawns in, they use Tiffway 419, but they don't. But Tiff Tough, pretty much you have to go out and you have to either specify it or order or get it installed yourself. So it's probably better given the cost difference. All right, so we have Niels from Holland, from the Netherlands, in the house. What's going on, Niels? Appreciate you hanging out. Always nice to see people from Holland. For those of you guys that don't know, I grew up in the Dutch Antilles. I grew up in an island called St. Eustatius, and we are part of. We are not like some of the more rebellious islands like St. Martin that decided to break away and go do their own thing. Like Savas, St. Eustatius, and Bonaire are still under the crown, are still under Holland. So it's good to see someone from Holland chiming in. As always, really appreciate it, man. All right, so Ben Ram chimes in. He says, the True Cut is a billy goat tank. I love mine. It takes on mowing a mountain of 12,000 square feet. If I had 4,000 square feet of flat, maybe the Swerveman. I think that's a good way of summing it up, Ben. If you have got a smaller lawn that is relatively flat, then a Swerveman is probably going to be all right. For a larger lawn, and by larger I mean bigger than 5,000 square feet, then that's where like a True Cut is probably a good choice. And then, Chris makes a good point here. He chimes in on the Owlet with their interchangeable system. So out of the two, I've looked at both mowers. I've never mowed with an Owlet. I've mowed with the Swordman, but I've never mowed with an Owlet. I mean, the Owlet seems, just looking at it, seems like it's built a little more sturdy, just looking at the mower. Again, I don't know if that's really the case. I don't know how well they hold up compared to a Swordman, but I mean, I'm just looking at it. It looks like it's a little bit better built than the Swordman is. A little bit more heavy duty is probably a better way of saying it. All right, Tim Borski's in the house. He says, Ron, is it still a good time to do a hide to reset cut on my Bermuda down here in Texas? You can if you want, man. I mean, it's just, here's the thing: a hide to cut reset. Really, the question you're asking yourself is, can you deal with your lawn looking brown for the week to 10 days it's going to take for it to begin growing back in nice and green? And if the answer is yes, then yeah. I mean, there's still time in the season for you to take the Bermuda down a little bit below the current height and have it still grow back. Now, if you're telling me, would you scalp this late in the season? I mean, again, you can, but you're just going to make your lawn look really ugly. Really for another month or, not more than a month, like another 2 months maybe of growing. So I don't know that I would do that. But if it's just a slight hide to cut reset, where you went on vacation and you're trying to, you take it down a little bit below where you had it before. Yeah, no worries. And then just, pick up your mowing a lot. Once you do your hide to cut reset, pick up your mowing to help stimulate new growth, and the grass that comes back is going to be nice and green. So yeah, so there's still plenty of time. It's really just a question of, do you want to look at a brown lawn or look at brown patches in your lawn while it grows back in? That's really the question you're asking when you talk about a hide to cut reset. You're not going to hurt Bermuda. It's just, do you want your lawn to look ugly? All right, next up we have Patrick Hahn in the house. He has a question about the Owlet. I just kind of answered this one, but I'll give you my thoughts on it. He says, what do you think about the Owlet machine? I've never mowed with one, so I can't really say. Just from appearances, though, it looks like it's a well-built piece of equipment. I mean, also, if you look from a standpoint of Owlet's catalog, like we think about the Liberty and I guess what's the other one? The Kensington. I think those are the consumer grade models. We think about those, you think about Owlet, but they also have a commercial line. Like they make some really big mowers. They make mowers that are like, I mean, again, I've never used one to know how well they cut, but I think Pete from GCI Turf has one and he really likes it. It lays some really nice stripes. It looks like it's built, again, like a tank. So yeah, I think they're probably good. They're decent mowers. That's probably the best I can tell you without having cut with one myself. If Princess Cut Lawn Care is still in the house, if George is still in the house, you can ask him. He has one of them. You can get his thoughts on how well it is as far as a machine to cut with. I'll tell you this much, Patrick. Just from appearances alone, if I were in the market for an interchangeable cartridge system mower, and that I were going to run on my lawn, given the size of it, I would probably lean more towards an Owlet than the Swerveman, mainly because I just think that it's going to hold up a little bit better. But yeah, without having mowed with one, that's the best I can do as far as an answer unfortunately. So, but thanks for the question, and let me know which one you end up going with. All right, and then we got Goldie saying, excuse the bold letters. I incurred an eye injury while serving the military. I'm sorry. Oh, no worries, man. No worries, Goldie. No problem at all. Thank you for your service, and yeah, no worries about the large letters. No problem at all. Again, thanks for your service, and that's the least we can put up with as far as for you going out and getting your eye injured while defending America. Okay, so Mike Wormble's in the house. I think Mike's new. I don't think I've seen your name before, but it's always cool to see new viewers. He says, I put down some Zoysia sod in mid-June. How long should I wait to both verticut and top dress? Mid-June. So verticutting, I might not do that this season if it were me. Top dressing, you could have done it like 2 weeks later if you wanted to. That you can do now. If you still want to top dress your lawn this year, you can just go light. And verticutting you can probably do as well if you really want to. I'm just afraid that if there's parts of the lawn that aren't rooted in like super well, verticutting is pretty hard on the turf, and I don't want you to go through and run a verticut over it and possibly pull up some of your sod or anything that hasn't rooted in properly. So top dressing, you're good to go on that, Mike. Given how late we are in the season, I would go lighter on the top dressing. Don't go out there and try and beach the lawn. Like again, 1/4 inch to a 1/2 inch of sand tops is all you're going to go with. Probably closer to that 1/4 inch because you're dealing with zoysia and it grows pretty slow. And then verticutting, only you can really know that. I haven't seen your lawn to say how well it's really rooted in and how well established it is. But if it were me, I would probably hold off on the verticut and just do the top dress. That would be my my plan of action. That is how I would go about it. All right, Humaz78 is in the house. He's talking about killing off Bermuda yard. He says, I killed off my yard for Bermuda seeding and irrigation install next spring. Bad idea to seed for ryegrass once the temps start dropping. Too late to seed Bermuda and too soon for ryegrass. Tired of dirt in Arizona. So here's the thing. If you killed off the Bermuda because you want to get, so you killed off the yard for Bermuda seeding in the spring. Is it a bad idea to seed ryegrass in the temps? No, so here's the thing. No, if you want to put down rye, once temps get a little cooler, you absolutely can do that. You don't really have any Bermuda for it to compete with, but the thing you're going to want to do, Munaz 78, is once springtime rolls around, you are going to want to spray out the ryegrass. So spray out the ryegrass, get rid of it, kill it off, and then, come May-ish. I mean, you're in Arizona, so it might be even sooner for you because it gets hot there sooner. Or it's hot there a lot more than other parts of the country. But once soil temps cross 65, more like 70 degrees on up, then you can go ahead and go for your seeding. So yeah, if you're tired of dirt, I would do that. I would go ahead and do your ryegrass seeding this spring or this winter. If you want to have something nice to look at over the winter months, just know that in the springtime you're going to be spraying it out, and then you should be good to go. Great question. It's pretty cool, man. You're taking a really methodical approach to it. You killed off your existing lawn. Now you're sounds like a ryegrass lawn in the fall and winter. And then next spring, you're going to the almighty Bermuda. Very cool. Very cool. Let us know how it works out. All right. Dwizzle is in the house. He says, I did some heavy leveling after the soil test this spring. I was thinking about retesting this fall, but it seems like this mix will not give an accurate result of the efficacy of my program. Thoughts? No, I would still soil test in the fall. I wouldn't. Nah, I don't think that's because also too. Remember, also keep in mind, Dwizzle is whenever you are taking the probe, whenever you're using the probe, you did a heavy top dress. So even a heavy top dress is what, a 1/2 inch, 3/4 of an inch thereabouts, and say we'll go crazy. So you did an inch, which I don't think you did that, but let's say you went an inch. The soil, or this probe, the MySoil probe, this goes down a good 6 inches thereabouts. What is that? It's like 6 inches or so. So yeah, you are going to get some of the top dressing material in that, but the majority of what you're going to be pulling is the existing soil profile. So yeah, I would still test your soil test your lawn. I have soil tested my lawn every 3 months, quarterly. Not because I'm saying you have to do that, because I just like having the data. And it still reflects the soil test results reflect the inputs I've been putting into the soil, regardless of whether it's been top dressed or not. So I would still do a test in in the fall. I would, because you did one in the spring. It'd be cool to see if everything you've been doing all this season, like how it translates into the fall, and if you need to put down lime or anything like that over the winter months. So I would absolutely do a soil test this fall if you are considering doing that. Great question. Jinwan Park's in the house. He says, hey, Ron from Austin, Texas. What's going on? He says, what area of Atlanta are you at? I live in Kennesaw you lived in Kennesaw for a little over a year and a half in 2015. I am in the Northeast Georgia area near Gainesville. So Kennesaw is, actually as a bird flies is probably about an hour and 20 minutes from me if you could actually drive straight across. But Kennesaw is going to be like down 95, down 85, over 285, up 75. So it's probably an hour and a half, 2 hours from me, depending on where in Kennesaw you're at. But yeah, I'm not that far. Man. Atlanta's a fairly small world when it comes to Atlanta, as long as you can deal with the traffic. So cool. Glad to a former AT alien was here, and hopefully you're doing well in Austin. All right, Catherine Dunn is on the house. It says, recovering from an army worm invasion. I'm sorry to hear that, Catherine. That stinks. I guess you got down a good insecticide to knock it out, but hopefully now that you have it under control, your lawn will bounce back. There's still time in the season for it to recover some extent, depending on how bad the infestation was. But glad that you're moving back in the right direction. All right, so we got Mr. Premier Lawns. Robbie is in the house from Northern Ireland. He says, hey, from Northern Ireland. I'm a big fan of spoon feeding. Hi, Ron. And guys, anyone that's a cool season person or has cool season grass, or you just want to see how the Irish, the British, people in the UK, I'm not going to say the British because calling someone from Scotland English, they get mad at that. I don't know how Ireland is, but I'm going to say someone from the United Kingdom. How about that? If you want to see how people in the United Kingdom take care of their lawns, it's really different. It's quite different the way we do it here. And check out Robbie's channel, Premier Premier Lawns. He puts out really good content. I think Robbie used to be a professional greenskeeper. Like he used to work on a golf course in the professional turf industry. So he has tons of great videos, tons of great content, really well shot, really well edited, everything. So check it out. Give him some love if you guys are looking. If you guys are looking just to learn more about cool season grass, or if you just like to learn about lawn care and you want to hear someone with an Irish accent talk about lawn care, definitely worth it. All right. Thanks again, Robbie, for coming to hang out. Really appreciate you, sir. Okay, so Catherine's second point says, recovering from an armyworm invasion, what's my best course of action post-treatment? Tifway 419 in West Tennessee. So a lot of it's just going to be time, Catherine. So assuming that you're doing all the other things, right? So you got a decent fertilization program where the lawn is getting enough nutrient, like enough nitrogen, primarily nitrogen, enough nitrogen for it to grow and do well. Keep up with your mowing. Mowing is going to help stimulate new growth. It's going to help, any bare spots, depending on how damaged we're talking about, recover a little bit faster. But really when it comes to grubs, army worms, even fungus issues, it really comes down to time. Like whenever you have a fungus problem, like when I had a fungus problem earlier this spring, I put down a fungicide and it halts it so that it's not getting any worse, but then really just waiting until the grass heals, right? So it's a time thing pretty much at this point. So I would just keep up with your mowing. If you've not been fertilizing your lawn, it's something that you probably should be doing. That's going to help things bounce back a bit faster. As far as knowing what fertilizer to put down, if you've not done a soil test, that's something that you should consider doing as well. I mean, it depends on how serious you are about really optimizing, your nutrient program for your lawn. The soil test that I recommend, you hear me talk about it all the time, is the one from My Soil. The reason why I like these is because they're easy, super easy to use. I mean, you get the soil test, you get the probe tools. So again, anyone can get this. You go around, you poke holes in your lawn, 10 to 12 different locations. You take it out, mix it up, throw it into, get it all mixed up, and you throw it into this guy, which is like their the resin, the ion exchange resin. It's like a synthetic root. You take the scoop, mail it off, and then they'll come back and they'll say, hey, Catherine, this is what's going on with your soil. This is the fertilizer you should use, and this is the rate that you should apply that fertilizer. And outside of that, it's just time. So outside of getting a soil test and fertilizing the lawn, I would just give it time and keep mowing. So hopefully that helps. Sorry I don't have a better silver bullet or a magic answer for you, but the best thing for your lawn is what you already did, which is eliminating the problem that was causing the damage. So it could bounce back. And then Chris Bruton says it's not too late for Bermuda. I agree, Chris. She can definitely get her lawn back and definitely still recover. just do some of the things I was talking about. Get a soil test, fertilize, and then just mow. And mow some more. All right, Matthew is in the house. Matthew Bilski says, hey, I am having 13,000 square feet of Celebration Bermuda going in the next 1 to 2 weeks. I am more than just a little bit jealous, Matthew. That's pretty awesome. He says, any suggestions for fungicide to prevent disease? Thanks, Ron. I'm over in Athens, Georgia. So as far as fungicide, the one that I would recommend, given you're going to spend all this money putting the Celebration in, is go with Headway G. So the reason why I like Headway is, one, it's a granular, so super easy to put down. So we can get a link here for you for it. And it has 2 different active ingredients in it. So it's got azoxystrobin and propiconazole. So as far as a fungicide that's going to take care of pretty much any lawn disease that we're most likely to have, like just also with you being in Georgia, like Headway is going to be the one to go. There is another one called Heritage G, also in a granular, but that one is only azoxystrobin. The reason why I say Headway is you get 2 active ingredients whenever you get it. So I'll send you a link to that at Matthew. And if you're interested, there's also a video that I did on fungicides, on all the Syngenta fungicides that you can check out. I'll also find that here in a second. I'll link that to you in the chat if you want to take a look at it. But yeah, that is what I would go with as a precautionary if you just want to, prevent any chances of there being, I say prevent any chances, seriously reducing the likelihood of you having a fungus problem in your lawn. And congrats again on the Celebration. It's 13,000 square feet of Celebration is going to be pretty awesome. All right. So next up we have Jinwan. He's asking about. Our next question is from Clayton, and he says, "Hey Ron, I got Lesco 1907 with dithiopyr. I was thinking about using this as my my last fert of the year. Would you recommend doing this for fall pre-emergent, or should I stick with prodiamine timing?" You can. You can go with it. 19. 19%. Nitrogen isn't crazy high as far as what to use for a winterizer. Yeah, you could go with that, Clayton. As far as timing goes, I could tell you what I'm going to be doing. It's probably going to be more around the late September, early October time frame. I'm trying to multitask here while also giving the gentleman the link to that video. So late September, early October is probably what I would shoot for that. Actually, no, you're talking about, so no, I'm drawing a blank. I'm thinking like fungicide stuff. For pre-emergent, September is the time to do it. So probably more like early September, not late September. I'm thinking about I'm thinking about winterizing and pre-emergent. Which is probably a good reason to do them separately, which is probably a good reason to not do a combination product. Because really fall pre-emergent, if you're just going with dithiopyr or prodiamine, you want to get that out in September, early September. And then as far as your last application of fertilizer for the year, if you really want to do that, you could go as late as like early October. So I guess you could just do your application of this combination product in September and just call it good. That's an option as well too. But that's what your question is. It's a great reason why doing it separately is good, because I was thinking about winterizing because I saw the fertilizer, but then your question is also about pre-emergent. So if you're only going to do one, go earlier, go September and just let that application ride out until the end of the year. Good question. All right, next up is Jinwan Park. He's saying, I am spoon feeding ammonium sulfate at 1/4 pound of N per 1,000 square feet as a weekly spoon feeding option, along with chelated iron on the evenings. Do you recommend watering it in immediately or wait till the mornings? Okay, so depending on what the label says, the ammonium sulfate, I believe you do want to water that in after application. Do you have to do it right away? I don't know. Here's the thing. I've never applied ammonium sulfate to my lawn to be able to tell you whether or not you need to do that right away, but I would check the label. Just check the label, see what it says. I can tell you the way I do my spoon feeding, Jinwan, is I do what you're doing. I do similar. I do like Humic Max. Let's say say this for the beginning of the month. I would do Humic Max today in the morning, and I would also do my liquid fertilizers and the carbon kit along with that. So like the carbon kit and then TurfPlex, I do them both on the same day. And then I wait until the following day to water the humic max in. So I do the granular and liquid same day. I do the granular first, then the liquid, and then I wait till the following day to water in the granular. And I've been doing that. And I get really good results with it. That way I'm not like putting down the liquid and then washing it off by watering right away. And one day is not going to hurt anything as far as humic max goes. So check the label for the ammonium sulfate. You're probably going to be fine waiting a day, especially since you're also considering you're using a really, really light rate. I mean, you're going, that's a quarter pound of N is not a whole lot. Probably going to be good to go if I had to guess, but check the label, see what it says, and should be good to go. I appreciate the question. That's a good one, man. Really like that one. All right. Next up, we have Colby S. He says, how soon after laying Celebration Bermuda can I start real mowing low? I've been mowing higher with a rotary ever since I laid it July 10th. July, yeah, your 13th. Yeah, I mean, it's been a month. Yeah, you can definitely start mowing it lower now. I mean, when you say going low, I would step down, Colby. So if say you're mowing it, say at 2 inches with a rotary, and you're going to start real mowing it now, start at an inch. Just start at an inch with it, or work your way down with an inch with the real mower, and just yeah, you should be absolutely fine. I mean, I've put sod in and it's only ever been real mowed. Like every time I've done a sod installation, it never gets like rotary mode for a little while, and then I transition to a real mower. Like literally, it's just real mowed the entire time. So, and I real mow. I don't think I've real mowed anything with my powered equipment higher than 3/4 of an inch. So yeah, you absolutely can, as long as the sod's rooted in nicely. If the sod looks nice, where it's growing in, you don't see any spots that are brown, like it's not taking. Then yeah, then absolutely you can absolutely start real mowing and not going to hurt anything at all. The grass is actually going to like it. It's going to really start to thicken up and do well with it. So no issues at all with transitioning from rotary to reel. If it were me, I would probably just started with a real mower and I would never even rotary mowed it. So, but that's me. All right. Next up is Joel Hernandez in the house. There's a question about real mowing, I think. He says, "Hey Ron, I hope you're having a great Friday." I am. It's not bad. He says, "I recently got me a new to me Toro Greensmaster 1000. It blows my 10-blade McLean out of the water. I absolutely love and enjoy mowing my lawn with it." I think that's the first real mower acquisition comment of the night. So we are going to clap it up for that. Very, very cool, Joel. I mean, it's not surprising because a lot of people like McLean's, and again, there's nothing wrong with McLean. I'm not like throwing shade at McLean or anything like that. But comparing a McLean to a Greensmaster or like a John Deere or like a Jacobson is like comparing a Volkswagen to a Porsche. They're both technically cars. They both can do similar things, but they're just totally different classes of machines. So it should cut a lot better, because even though you're new to Greensmaster 1000, you may have not paid that much for it. When it was brand new, that mower was probably $10,000 or close to $10,000, whereas a McLean, I don't even know what they cost, $2,000, something like that. So it's a completely different class of equipment. So it should cut better. It better cut better, right? For what it costs. So yeah, I'm glad you're getting a good result with it. Yeah, that's really, really good. And to your point, to kind of piggyback on what you're saying, I had the exact same experience when I switched from my True Cut to the Greensmaster. The True Cut does a really good job, but literally, and I've told the story before, when I got the Greensmaster, I made 2 passes with it, and then I shut the mower off and just started laughing, because like the difference in the cut, the stripe action is just another level. It just is. So I'm glad that you got some new equipment. Congrats on it. Next up, we got Ben Graham saying, the neighbors, now that the neighbors have watched that full renovation happen, are now asking for advice. Ultimate lawn compliment. Yes, you can do it. That's the big thing. The first time I top dressed the lawn, when I did it, actually last year when we did Alex's lawn, because it was quite a scene, you guys. You guys saw the video, the Fix My Ugly Lawn series. People were driving by and someone actually stopped and said, "What are you guys doing to your lawn? It looks really like looks all torn up. Looks really you're pretty much ruining your lawn." This year, when we did it again, they're like, "Oh, the crazy guys are out there just top dressing their lawns again." So it's just like a thing that they do. So yeah, I mean, they think you're crazy until they see the results, and they're like, "Hey, how do you get those results?" It's pretty awesome, right? We got Jim Peterson in the house from Central Ohio. Thanks for coming to hang out, Jim. Always cool to see some people from up north, some cool season people in the house. Cheryl is back, you guys. You guys know Cheryl Bender. She's been Bender. She's been around for a minute. You've been out of pocket, Cheryl. She says, "Hi, Ron. Hi, gang. It's been a minute. I have a company out sod cutting out all the St. Augustine out of my zoysia. After I did 2 rounds of Roundup, I tried everything. How long should I wait to resod after the Roundup? It shouldn't take that long. You have to check the label, but I want to say within a week or two, you should be good to go. I don't think Roundup lingers around that long as Bender, and especially since remember Roundup really does most of its damage through foliar absorption, right? So you spray it on the leaf, it gets taken up, and that's how it really does the majority of its damage. If you can give yourself a week or two between your last Roundup application and then the sod being installed, you're gonna be good to go. I would not spray Roundup after you put the sod down, but as far as like the time between it, you shouldn't be that much time. And I'm glad you finally got rid of it. I know you were fighting with that St. Augustine in the Zoysia. I think you tried Fusillade too as well, right? I'll have to email you here and ask you how that worked out. Apparently, obviously not good because you're cutting it out, but yeah, give it a couple of weeks, resod, and you should be good to go. Great question. It's good to have you back. Good to see that you're back out hanging with us lawn crazies. All right, Kevin Sheehan's in the house. Says, hey guys, and you too, Ron. Moving from a Jack to a King tomorrow. Oh, McLean to a TurfPlex 2120. Nice. That's a nice upgrade, man. You got one of the newer mowers. Very, very sweet. Very nice upgrade. Very nice. You got to clap it up for that, man. Congrats on that, Kevin. Pretty awesome. Very, very nice lawnmower. You guys send me pictures, man. You have my email address. Send me pictures. Let me live vicariously through you, through all your new hardware. All right. So next up, we have Rhino Liners in the house, which I guess is Rhino Liners. He says, hey, Ron, this is Dave here in the hot valley of Modesto, California. If I may ask, what's the best way to completely kill ivy? Great channel, and thank you for your expertise. For someone you asked me a question about herbicide, I always go to Spectricide. You didn't tell me what kind of grass you have, Rhino Liners, and unfortunately, I don't. My California geography is not on that good to where I know where Modesto is. If you have warm season grass, let me see if ivy is one of the ones that Spectricide will control. It is. It's got several on there. So assuming you have warm season grass like Bermuda and not all of them, like Bermuda or Zoysia, you can use a product like this. This is a relatively inexpensive option. You can pick it up at your local big box store. And when I just did a check here, this one does take care of certain ivies. So if we look here, like ground ivy, ivy leaf, so it's got and poison ivy. So it takes care of 4 different ivies that are listed on the label. The nice thing about this one is that it's relatively inexpensive to buy. As long as temps where you are, and again, I don't know where Modesto is, well, you see the hot valley, but as long as the temps are not above 90 degrees, you can use this on your lawn and you get a pretty good result with it. If temps are above 90 degrees, again, you can still spray it, but you are going to knock the grass back. The grass is going to take an ouchie. The way to, I'm not sure if Celsius is rated for ivy, but something like Celsius is what I would probably move to if you're looking to try and control that kind of weed in temperatures above 90 degrees. But as an easy starter, look into Spectricide Weed Stop, or if you can get a 2 or 3 day period where the temps are not going to really be above 90. Then is when I would go with something like that. Or you can spray it also later on in the evening when temps are a little bit lower. That's an option as well, because as you can see, that one will definitely take care of the ivy issue you're dealing with, and it's easy to apply, right? With Celsius, you really got to pay attention. You got to have a sprayer of some sort. You got to measure it carefully. You got to use a surfactant with it. You got to have full PPE. It's just a different level of commitment to put down something like that and be safe while you're doing it. So hopefully that helps. If you have any follow-up questions, feel free to reach out to me. My email address is this. It's ron@golfcourselawn.com. Just shoot me an email and I will help you out in any way that I can. Next up, Mike Harvey is in the house. He says, hey, Ron, I enjoy these live videos. Great information. I was on vacation and the lawn needs attention. Is it too late in the season to do a mini scalp? Not down to the dirt, but shorter than normal. You can, Mike. I mean, you have, I'm assuming you have warm season grass like Bermuda. You can, but again, because really, you're not going to kill the Bermuda. The question of doing a scalp now, if you do it or not, is can you deal with your lawn looking brown and ugly for, depending on how much of a scalp we're talking, 10 days, 2 weeks? Because that's how long it could take for it to green back up and start looking nice again, right? If you're fine with that, then yeah, go for it. But if not, then go a little bit, go with a milder scalp. Because you told me like a mini scalp. I don't really know what that means. I mean, either you're scalping it or you're not scalping it, right? But if you're taking off more than a third, you're trying to lower the height of cut, the grass is going to turn brown. How long and whether or not that's going to work out for you is if you're fine with it looking brown for 10 days, 2 weeks or so. You're not going to. If your question is, are you going to kill the grass? No, you're not going to you're not going to kill the Bermuda by doing that. It's just going to look ugly. All right. Next up, we got Kevin saying he's on his second leveling for this year. That's pretty hardcore, man. I like it. That's a pretty cool. It's a lot of commitment, man. Okay. So next question we have is from Michael Empire. He has a question about watering in the hot summer. He says, how often should I water in a hot summer? The answer is it depends, right? So for warm season grass like Bermuda, the general number is an inch of water per week. If it's really hot out, you may have to do a little bit more than that. And it also depends on whether or not you're using like a moisture manager like Hydrotane. If you're using something like Hydrotane, you can get by with a little bit less watering. But in most cases, Mike, twice a week is what I would shoot for. You can water more frequently with that, but here's the issue, right? And I actually ran into this on the front lawn. I did some testing on the front lawn. The back lawn, I kept my same schedule, but the front lawn, I picked up my watering schedule where I was watering. I did a test for like a 2-week period. I watered every day, but a small amount. So I ran irrigation for like 4 minutes every day, every morning, right? At the time when I'm supposed to water. And now I'm dealing with an issue with red thread in the lawn. So it's only like, it's the only thing I changed is the overall amount of time that I ran the irrigation didn't really change that much, but the frequency that I was doing it did change. And doing that for a couple of weeks was enough for me to start developing a fungus problem in the lawn. So you have to kind of pick your poison, right? If you water a lot, you water pretty frequently, you're kind of gambling in the sense that, yes, so you can keep the grass greener with less like discolorations, less heat stress, but you're also creating an environment where if there's any fungus that gets introduced to it, like it's going to take off. The fungus is going to love like really hot and really moist conditions. So I would say twice a week, like water heavily twice a week, is a better strategy than light watering all the time, because I actually tested it and I caused me to develop a slight fungus problem. Whereas the back lawn, I maintain the same watering schedule twice a week and there's no issues there at all. So just something to keep in mind. For me, I would say twice a week, heavy, and see how that does for you. Great question. I also got content on that. If you go on my channel, just look up like Ron Henry watering. I've got like several videos on watering, but pretty much that's what it's going to say is twice a week. Heavy is better than everyday light, and especially during the summer because fungus problems can become a thing if you do that. All right. Next up, we have FXR Parlor. I think I've already answered this question. He says, follow up with killing the Bermuda with cardboard and dethatching. The Bermuda is heavily shaded. I'm fully prepared for it to come back, making the floral transition to Festmuda in Dallas, Texas. I've never heard that one before. I've heard of Blue Muda. I've never heard of Festmuda, but I got you. I get what you're after. Well, in your case, FXR, you're probably going to do fairly well because if it's a heavily shaded area, if you knock the Bermuda back, the fescue is going to have a much easier time getting established because Bermuda already doesn't like shade. So I think what you're doing is an excellent strategy. It makes a lot of sense. With that little extra context saying that there's shade, makes it easier to understand. So what you're doing is the right thing. Sounds really good. All right, so we got Emilio in the house, up New York Lawns in the house. He says just joining late after finishing up dethatching the dead grass. Sounds like messy fun, but it's got to happen, right? I'm sure you guys, all you Allet guys, Allet and Swarmner guys, you're all like, now you're all like the regular dethatching, like the dethatching squad. You guys need to have like a t-shirt. Like, I'm like, Mr. Stripe Action. You guys need to have like dethatch squad or something like that. Cause all you guys are doing a lot of that. We have LG in the house. LG, I missed you, man. I mean, we're like almost an hour and a half in and only now you show up. I was wondering what was happening. I was going to send out a search party. Good to see you, sir, as always. It's always fun to have you around. We got Castleberry in the house. Hey, what's going on? And then next up, we got a question from Jay. Just says Jay. RF, I guess, for Roger Federer fan. He says, hey, Ron, I was wondering what the best product or thing to do with a vine-like stringy weed in the grass without damaging the grass. You can use a selective if you can't just weed it, can't just pull it out. Like if it's only like one one patch of it. If you can just physically remove it, that's probably a good strategy. But if you've got it all over the place, you can use a selective herbicide to kill it. Without a picture or knowing what kind of grass you have, it's hard for me to give you an answer. Jay, it's hard for me to give you an answer because I don't want to tell you go put Spectricide on your lawn because you may have cool season grass, and that would be very, very bad if you have cool season grass, right? So if you can, in the comments, put down like in the chat, like what kind of grass you have. And I'm gonna need more than just like a vine-like striggy weed. If you can't do that, if you are open to it, send me pictures of it later on. Here's my email address, ron@golfcourselawn.com. Send me a picture of the weed that you're dealing with, and I'll get you an answer. But I can't really tell you what I would spray on it or what I would do with it without actually seeing what you're dealing with, unfortunately. So sorry I don't have a better answer on that, but feel free to email me and I will help you out. Thank you so much for the question. All right. Let's see what else we got. Let's see. Castleberry says, "Is Princess Lawn Care the gatekeeper here? I see he has a wrench. He's among a couple of gatekeepers. I've got a couple of gatekeepers. So you have the henchmen that you know about, and you have the ones that are just kind of lurk in the shadows. I can't let you guys know about everybody, right? You guys might go after him, but yeah, he's definitely he is one of the moderators." All right. Next up, SMK is in the house, and he's chiming in about shading out Bermuda. He says, "FXR Parlor, shading out Bermuda will not kill it. It will die on top and will reemerge the following year. Spray it out and shred the rhizomes with a Harley rake or tiller." So that's the thing, SMK. He doesn't want to spray herbicides on his lawn. He's given us, he's handcuffed us. He says no herbicides. So with no herbicides, I mean, I think that's probably the next best thing, right? I mean, I guess he could do the whole cardboard, kill it off, and then Harley rake it. You could do it that way, but he did say no. He took away the herbicides. He took away all the cheat codes for getting rid of the Bermuda. Very cool. All right. Let's see what else we have. We got a question here from Sergio and Anlu. He says, "When I use the groomer today," and thanks, Sergio. I think you're new. I don't remember seeing you before. So if you are new to the live stream, welcome. He says, "When I used the groomer today, after 27 greens, the engine started to do a noise like a belt loose, only with the groomer on. Maybe the belt needs a change. Probably. If you did 27 greens today, I don't know. I mean, you're probably working at a golf course, I would imagine. If you're cutting and grooming 27 greens, I mean, the workshop will probably, take it to the workshop, they'll probably fix it, but it's likely a belt. Like, I haven't heard the noises you're talking about, but I can tell you, like, the only time my greens master has ever made like a weird noise, like sounds like a squeaking type noise, is like when a belt broke, like one of the side belts that broke, and that's when it was in fact that. So it probably is what you're dealing with, but the best way is just take it into the workshop, and they'll be able to diagnose it. VMH, what's going on, sir? Thanks for seeing you in the chat. I appreciate you hanging out. Hopefully I'm not freezing here. I think I see I'm getting messages about that there's not enough bandwidth for the stream, but we'll see. Hopefully we'll just keep going. Thanks for coming to hang out, sir. Happy Friday. Let me get down here and do some of these super chats. I'm being rude. I see some of these people are contributing to the channel, and I'm making you guys wait, which is not cool, right? First, we have the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Josh.
Super chat received.
Habib in the house. He says, "Happy Friday, doctor. Camping again." Dude, you like camping? Hey, Josh, there is this thing called houses where we have like air conditioning and internet and all this stuff. I'm just giving you a hard time, right? But he's out camping again. Yard is looking so good. 5 different delivery people asked me if it was real. Big thanks for all your advice. Thanks, pal, or cheers, pal. You're very, very welcome, man. That's pretty cool, right? The unsolicited, compliments are always the best, right? So I'm glad the lawn's doing well. I'm glad the advice is useful, coupled with all your hard work. And enjoy your time out camping with the family. That's pretty cool, man. Then we got CR, Super Chat as well.
Super Chat received.
He says, "Thank you for all the great information. You're very, very welcome. I appreciate you hanging out in the live stream." And then another Super Chat from Cal says,
Super Chat received.
"I'm trying to decide between a Swordmore or an Owlet." I kind of answered this earlier. He says, "I know you haven't really used either a lot, but which would you use? Also, everyone, please touch that like button ever so gently." Cal, thank you so much, man. I appreciate it. So you're asking your question and you're taking care of the YouTube housekeeping as far as getting some more engagement. I appreciate you. I answered this earlier. If it were me, probably the Owlet. If I were going to buy one, right? If I had the choice, if you give me the choice between two, money's no object, I could have either one of them. Just looking at the two, how they're built, for me, I would probably lean more towards the Owlet, but there's people that have Swordmans and they love them. So if you have a Swordman, do not send me hate mail. I have nothing against a Swordman. You're just asking me for my opinion. That's what I'm giving to you. But I got nothing against Swordman or really any mower for the most part. Even rotaries are okay. I mean, they're not as cool as real mowers, but they're all right. But yeah, so Cal, to give you a more complete answer, the Owlet, because I think they are, just from looking at them, they seem to be better built. Also, if you take, let's just dig into this a little bit more. If you take like the Lexus approach, right? Like if you think about like Lexus, like they make luxury cars, right? But a Lexus is really a Toyota. Like Toyota builds Lexus. And when you build something that's really high end, like a lot of the research and the work that goes into building a very high end or luxury product, a lot of that tends to trickle down to the cheaper products, to the more consumer products. And I mean, granted, Toyota builds a ton of cars. That doesn't hurt at all. But if we take that by extension and compare it to real mowers, to my knowledge, Swordman does not have like a commercial line, but Owlet does. So if we say that these guys build mowers that are good enough for professional turf, professional like baseball fields. I know baseball fields and couple soccer fields use Owlets. So if you say that they build equipment that's good enough to stand up to the rigors of professional turf, it's likely that a lot of the lessons they learned when they built the high-end stuff is also translated down into the consumer grade stuff. So just from that alone, I'm going to say that the Owlet is probably going to hold up better. So I've not owned one, but I'm just going to say between me, you and me in the four walls, I'd probably go with the Owlet if it were me. So hopefully that helps, and hopefully my logic, how I got there makes sense to you as well too. All right, let's see what other questions we got. Castleberry, let's see what else we got here. He's in the house. We also have a question from DW Davis. He says, "I think you just answered my question. This is fun and a cool way to learn. You are doing good work." I appreciate it, man. I appreciate you hanging out in the chat. All right, next up we have Mazama Blue, late chiming in, found a I think I go back to the next question. He says, late chiming in, found a yellow jacket nest in a low tree. I need to get rid of it tonight. Any recommendations? Okay, I could tell you what, here's the thing. I could tell you what I used to do back home to get rid of yellow jackets, but it's not, it depends on how high up in a tree we're talking about, because it's not really a safe thing to do. So what we used to do, and this actually sounds crazy now that I think about it now, but we used to take like a rag and wrap it on a pole and pour gasoline on it. Sounds crazy, right? Pour gasoline on it and then just simply wave that near the fumes of the gasoline alone is going to kill, like the literally just fall right out of the nest. It'll kill them. It'll kill them dead. But I don't know how high it is. You obviously want to make sure that you're not going to drop that rag on your grass. You don't want to take a chance of damaging the lawn or killing, because the gasoline will kill your grass. It'll damage the grass. But short of like, I guess you could buy some kind of a spray at Home Depot or something like that that'll target it. But that's what I've done in the past. We take like a rag, gasoline on a pole, and hold it up. Literally, you'll move it to within like 6 inches of it, and they'll just all start falling down dead. The fumes will kill them instantly. So that's something you can try. Probably not necessarily the safest thing to do, but that's like a home remedy, things we do back home that works really, really well. That's why we get rid of yellow jackets. But yeah, something for you to try out. All right. And then Castleberry, go back to your question. He says, how does foliar absorb carbon affect the plant? So the big thing is it helps with nutrient uptake, Castleberry. So if you look at like the micronized carbon that is in Release Zero, it's in really I think pretty much all the Miramichi Green products have some amount of carbon in them, but the Release Zero has 10% micronized carbon. And if you mix this along with any fertilizers, it's going to help. Or anything else really. It's going to help with nutrient uptake. It really supercharges nutrient uptake. That's the best way to help with to describe what carbon does. Foliar absorbed carbon does for grass. Again, there's lots of people that have been trying it out, have been using it this year. Like not just only me, but other people that have never considered trying a foliar carbon product. And I have yet, it could happen tomorrow, but I have yet to get an email from anybody that has started incorporating it into their lawn care program that hasn't had really good results with it. So The big thing is nutrient uptake, but it's not only for fertilizer. If you're spraying fungicide, herbicide, anything like that, any of those things, it helps them work better, if that makes sense. So in other words, if you're trying to apply a fungicide and you're dealing with something like I think it's fairy ring. Fairy ring is one of the funguses that your lawn fungi where you don't actually need to water it in. Like you need to get that on the leaf, right, for that one to work. I believe that's correct for fairy ring. Like that's a case where you mix release zero with that, whatever liquid fungicide you're using, and it's going to work that much better. So hopefully that helps answer your question. But it's but kind of like anything with both when it comes to both granular and liquid carbon, they help promote nutrient uptake and availability to the grass. That's the best answer I can give you here in a minute or so. So hopefully that helps. All right, next question. I guess Clayton has a question for Lee Moore about Sunnyland Fertilizer. Next up, we have Joey Logano. He says, I just bought a Briggs & Stratton, but I'm nervous using it. My dad never taught me how to mow. Okay. Well, it's not, so you're worried about how to use a lawnmower or just how to, about how to start the engine or what's the challenge, Joey? But mowing, the actual mowing part is actually pretty simple. Like once you get the mower started, you're just going to make lightly overlapping passes. I've got lots of videos on mowing. Actually, I'll put a video in the chat here on mowing. You can actually see what I do with my greens mower. Even with your Briggs & Stratton, it's the same thing. As far as how to start it, I don't know if Briggs & Stratton have a choke on them. Like most mowers will have, most engines will have some kind of a choke. You may have to choke it to get it started, and then you turn the choke off. But outside of that, if you can find the actual model number of the engine, it's probably printed on it somewhere. Get on YouTube or Google and see if there's any tricks for getting it started, and should be good to go. So hopefully that helps answer your question. But congrats on getting the mower. Next up, we have a question about PGR. I believe it's a PGR question from T Pauls 26. It says, hey man, cool season grass. I'm using a new PGR this fall. Very cool. Cool stuff. Is it okay to spray when the lawn has a few dormant blades coming out of summer heat? I figure since it's foliar it would be okay. Yeah, it's probably just fine. T Paul it's not gonna hurt anything. You're gonna be okay with just doing that. I mean, the big thing with PGR, kind of like with herbicides, is you absolutely want to read the label like twice and then read it one more time and then follow the label rates. Like PGR is one of those things where it's awesome. It does really great things for your grass. It causes it to you have to mow less. It can help promote the grass to thicken up. But it can also be not necessarily a nightmare, but it can also do some really nasty things to grass if you over apply it. So make sure you follow the label for your particular grass type, and then it should be good to go. Congrats on trying it out, man. Let us know how it goes. All right, next up we got Robert Rainey here. He says, I got caught up on some acreage with all the rain, and the backyard is looking great, and the trenches are filling in nice. Almost we'll call it, you said 1.42. You're very precise, man. Not 1.4, not 1.445, but 1.42 inches of rain last night, and was able to cut today. It's pretty awesome. That's awesome, Robert. You can tell you're a very, very precise kind of guy, man. He gives the exact number of how much rainfall he had. Glad you got your mow in. And now that you're back here to hang out with us here in the live stream. All right, Rob Schott is in the house. He says, hey, Ron, Panama City, Florida here. Empire Zoysia has been down for 3 weeks. Seeing a lot of yellow nutsedge and clovers. How long should I wait, and what product would you recommend? Thanks as always. You say it's been down for 3 weeks. I'm not sure what you mean by that. I guess it's just yellowing up. I guess summer heat stress. As far as like the herbicide, probably the go-to herbicide, like a really good herbicide for dealing with sedges, is Certainty, right? And as far as clover, I don't know if Certainty is labeled for clover. Celsius will take care of clover. But the thing I'm concerned about with recommending either of those is that you're saying that the lawn has been down. So does that mean it's already stressed out? Because if your zoysia is already stressed, I don't know about really spraying herbicide on it. I don't know if we really want to add like another stressor to that. Even though Celsius and Certainty are fairly light on the spectrum of herbicide that's going to likely to ding your grass. If your lawn's already having a hard time, you may want to hold off on that. But to answer your question, Certainty for the sedges, and again, I check the label and see if it's labeled for clover. But if not, Celsius should be able to do that. So I'll just give you links to both of them in case you decide to go that route. But again, I would really make sure that the grass is doing okay before we start slamming it with herbicides. Because again, the thing people don't realize is even though Celsius and Certainty are rated for warm season grass and they are safe for warm season grass when applied at the proper rates, it's still herbicide and it still is introducing some stress, albeit a little bit, to the grass. So you just want to make sure the grass is in good shape before you go that route. So hopefully that helps. Next up here we have Timmy Bluegrass in the house. He says, hey Ron, a follow-up on organic all natural thing. Are the ammonium phosphate and potassium nitrate in NutriCalc organic or natural ingredients? I believe they're natural ingredients. Like the actual litmus test for calling something organic is actually pretty high, Timothy. So like that's why even with Miramichi Green, when I asked them about the pest control, is it organic or is it all natural? All the literature is going to say all natural. Reason being is that there's soaps in it. That there's some soap that's in the soaps and oils that are in the pest control. So you can't necessarily call it organic at that point, right? Same thing for the Release Zero, the NutriCalc products, and really all the liquid products. The ingredients are all natural ingredients, but to call them organic, or to call the entire product organic, I don't think I could really make that claim or say that, because there's stuff in there that is not. That would not pass the test of being considered organic. But is it stuff that you can apply on your apply to your lawn, and it's very healthy, very safe, very environmentally safe? Yes. I mean, there's industry like I'm not gonna say exactly who, but out west that uses a lot of Miramichi Green products for crops that are consumed by people. So as far as it being safe to apply on whatever you're putting it on, you should be good to go. All right. Next up, we got SMK. He's telling about experiment. The mad scientist. He says, at Ron Henry, I have some results from the chamber bitter experiment. Celsius knocked it out, but it took a long time. Triplet, MSM, MSM turf plus dismissed, smoked it in 3 days with minimal collateral damage. That's cool, man. You have to let me know what your what the rates were that you used for the Triplet, MSM turf, and dismiss. Because as soon as I see dismiss, I'm thinking, okay, that's yellow. That's going to be, you're going to be smacking the grass if you do that. But I guess if you went really light on your rate for dismiss, it could work. Because what I found too is like with Certainty, I've been doing some testing with the Certainty and Celsius combination. And what I ended up doing is running Celsius at the higher rate and Certainty at the lowest rate, which is like for like spot spraying is like 3 of the small scoops, and got really good response with it, really good results with that by running Certainty at a lower rate. So I think once you start combining them, you don't necessarily have to run them flat out to get a good result. That's cool though, man. It's good to know that that combination can work well. You have to send me an email with the rates you use so I can give it a go or look into it myself. Appreciate you following up. All right. Next up, we have Brad. Says, I'd rather not use big companies to manage my lawn. I'd much rather book someone like yourself or a local guy to me, like at Princess Cut Lawn Care. Any resources to find gurus for an on-site consult? Yeah, man. I guess you could find someone local to you. Like you said, if George, Princess Cut Lawn Care is nearby, you could see if he'd be willing to do it. For me, I don't really, I mean, I've gone over to Alex's lawn. There's other people in the neighborhood around here that have asked me to come by and look at their lawns. Like I've done that. But as far as like doing like consults, like in most cases, I just do it over Zoom. For the people that have asked me to do that, where I said, hey, listen, most of what I'm going to tell you, I'll just tell you an email and it'll save you time and save me time. But if someone really wants me to see the lawn, see exactly the issues they're dealing with, the problem spots and that kind of thing, I do a lot of it over Zoom, because me seeing what I'm seeing over Zoom or me actually being there in person, there's not really going to be much difference as far as the advice that I'm going to give, and it'd be a lot cheaper for whoever is asking me to come look at it. Because I just got to go out to someone's place and I got to drive out there and time and all this kind of stuff. So it's easier for everybody just to do it over Zoom. But just reach out to Princess Cut or ask. Maybe ask and you look in your area and see if there's anyone else that does that kind of thing. But yeah, I guess if you find a YouTuber that has your grass type, or that you like their messaging, you like their program, you like how they do things, and you just want you want to reach out to them. I think pretty much anyone will be willing to connect with you over like Zoom or something like that. But actually coming out physically there, that's a little bit tougher. And again, it's probably going to cost more. So something to keep in mind. Okay, Robert Rainey has a question about mowing. He says, Ron, would you consider cutting against the grain, opposite direction on the same stripe? Is that considered a hard cut? And is that a good thing to do every once in a while? Yeah, I actually would consider doing it. And I've actually done that, Robert. Actually, when my lawn has looked best, like as far as like a really even, like a tight cut, is when I've done that. So I've done if you take all three options, right? So you can go say double cutting it where you mow in one direction and you mow over the same direction twice, right? So if we go, let's say describe it. Let's say that this is a stripe, right? And I cut it this way, and then the next time I cut it, I cut this way. So that's one option. Another option is to just go over it twice in the same direction, like burning stripes in. That's my least favorite way of doing it. And then doubling back, so you go over and then double back on it. That produces the tightest cut by far. Like I've gotten the best, like as far as like looking at the lawn and being, wow, it looks really even, really nice, really crisp. That does a really good job. The only thing you have to be careful about that is if you're not doing that regularly, and when I say regularly, once every couple of weeks, you could actually get some scalping from it, because the grass is actually used to being laid over in one direction. When you come back in another direction, especially if you're mowing short, don't be surprised if you get some yellowing or some low spots from doing that. So if you're going to do that, it's something you need to do somewhat regularly. Otherwise, do it as part of like a light scalp type program is what I would say. But yeah, absolutely, there's something to that. The grass looks really good after doing it. But if you're going to do it, you got to do it pretty often to not cause scalping issues, on the turf. All right. Next up, we got Stuart Boss is in the house. He says, hey, I'm thinking about introducing some carbon into my lawn care program. How often should I dose it with Carbon Pro G, and should I apply it only during the growing season? Hey, Stuart, great question. Yes, I think you absolutely should introduce granular carbon into your lawn care program. Only good things are going to come from it. As far as should you only apply it during the growing season, you don't have to. You can. The only guidance I would give around applying granular carbon, so whether it be Carbon Pro G or Essential G, is you don't want to apply it when the ground is frozen. So during the winter time, if you get like a hard freeze, then yeah, you don't want to be applying it during that time. But I've applied granular carbon. I started applying it last year, like late spring, and I've done it every single month up till now, because in Georgia we don't really get like hard freezes or we get one, it lasts like a day, right? So we don't really get hard freezes to where I can't put down granular carbon. But if you only want to apply during the growing season, that's fine, but you're not wasting product. You're not going to hurt anything. If you can only afford to apply it during a small section of the year, I would say wait till the growing season, because then you're probably gonna see more out of the compost component of it. But the biochar builds up. The biochar aspect doesn't really go away. So that's when I was applying it all throughout like the fall into the winter and even to the early spring. That was my goal, to build up the amount of biochar in the soil. But again, if you want the absolute to get everything out of it, apply it whenever the grass is growing. So great question. And as far as how often can you apply it, it's really just limited to your pocketbook. It's you're not going to hurt the grass by going super heavy. I've gotten some pictures from people doing some pretty wild stuff where they're putting down 10 bags at a time, super heavy. You're not going to hurt anything, which is pretty nice. All right. Next up, we have Connor Souls in the house. His question, he says, "Hey Ron, sorry for the late join. Hope you're doing well. I am." He says, Pen A1 bent grass. I think that's the same. I think it's the same type that Augusta uses. I think that's what Augusta National uses. I think so. He says, Pen A1 bent grass on the putting green is germinating like a champ right now. Excited to get the first mow on it. That's cool, man. Congratulations. That's you have to send me pictures of how it's coming in. Very, very nice. Very, very nice. All right. A question from Nor Darwich 4 times says, do you have a Red Max blower? I do not. I do not have a Red Max blower. I have a Still combi system. I just have their blower attachment. So that's what I'm using. That is what I'm using for my blower. But I mean, there's people I'm sure that have the Red Max and they like it, but I just have the Still, mainly because one less piece of equipment to have to hold around. And guys, if you guys are enjoying the live stream so far, I know we're only a couple hours in, but if you guys wouldn't mind touching that like button ever so gently, it's free for you guys to do. Allows me to take a sip of my lemonade, and it's a free way for you guys to support the channel. So if you would do that, I would highly, highly appreciate it. Very, very good. All right. Next up we have 818 Southside. He says, "Hey Ron, I might not be on live by the time you get to this, but thanks for all the solid advice you give us. We appreciate you." No problem, sir. I appreciate you watching. Thanks again. And then next up we have Brooklyn Boy. He says, "I live in Dallas, I have Bermuda. When should I overseed?" Really, I'd say, I should say this. Are you trying to overseed Bermuda with what? With ryegrass or like a cool season grass? If that's the question you're asking, fall, so like September, next month would be the time to do an overseed if you're trying to put in something like perennial ryegrass. The only thing I'd say, Brooklyn Boy, is keep this in mind. If you put ryegrass in, know that in the springtime, come March, April, you are going to have to spray it out. You're going to have to use, I guess you could use Celsius, you could use something like Katana, something along those lines to get rid of it. Otherwise, it can negatively impact how quickly the Bermuda comes out of dormancy. So something to keep in mind, right? You know, like putting down ryegrass sounds all fine and good, but just realize in the spring you're setting yourself up to have to spray herbicide all over your lawn to get rid of it. All right, and SMK is giving some advice here on goosegrass on glyphosate. He says 8 ounces per acre of glyphosate will smoke out goosegrass. Use the T-Jet cone jet to focus the spray on the center of the wagon wheel. Bermuda tips will slightly yellow, but it will go right through it. 8 ounces. He says, notice this. He says 8 ounces per acre. So 8 ounces per 43,000 thereabouts square feet, not 8 ounces per 1,000 square feet. So if we do the math on that per 1,000 square feet, we take 8 divided by 43. So 0.19 ounces, 0.18 ounces per 1,000 square feet is what that comes out to if my math is right. So yeah, so make sure if you're gonna do glyphosate and you're gonna do this, follow, you pay attention to what SMK said, go light and get the right tip so where you're concentrating where it goes. And get ready for some yellowing in the Bermuda. All right, let's see what else we have. So Nathan has a question about macronutrients. He says, what effect does optimal K and P levels have on Bermuda? So P being your phosphorus, K being your potassium. So P with not only Bermuda, but all grass types. Phosphorus helps root growth, right? So there's like a little nursery rhyme that says for NPK, so NPK up, down, and then all around. So the nitrogen helps the grass grow up. The phosphorus helps promote deeper roots or growth beneath the surface, and then potassium it just helps the plant in general. What it really supports is water movement through the grass. So the movement of water from the root zone up to the leaf, like potassium helps a lot with that. But it's just considered like a general nutrient that the plant needs for overall health. So up, down, and then all around. That's a great way to think about what each of the letters in NPK stand for. So hopefully that helps. And based on your soil test, just look at the soil test results and apply fertilizer accordingly. Great question, Nathan. All right, next up we got Davies Lawn Vlogs. Hey, Dave's. I said Davies. It's Dave's. Hey, what's up, Dave's Lawn Vlogs? Thanks for coming to hang out in the chat. Very cool. Next up we got Brian Woods. He says, "Hey, Ron, I missed the question from last week. Would you overseed with Arden 15 again if you had to do it all over again? Hybrid Bermuda here in Texas. I have seed that I bought but chickened out from using it." That's a good question. I love the way the lawn looks now, but if I were, if the reason why I got into overseeding, initially with Princess 77 and then with Arden 15, was there was a tree that was removed, and the sod that was put in did not match. If I knew then, this was like 5-6 years ago, what I know now, I would have simply gotten plugs from the rest of the lawn, from all over the lawn, and plug that area, because that's a great way to ensure that it's definitely going to match perfectly, right? As soon as you introduce sod, you never know for sure that it's going to match up, even though it's the same cultivar supposedly. But now fast forward to where I am now, I actually like my lawn a lot. I love the way like the Arden 15 Tifway blend looks. The color is really nice. So yeah, I mean, would I solve the problem that I initially set out to solve the same way? Now, no. I would have plugged the locations where the tree came out. Do I regret overseeding with Arden 15? No, because I like the way the lawn looks now. So hopefully that helps answer your question. If you don't have a reason to, unless you're just really trying to complicate your life, just keep your hybrid Bermuda the way it is. Because I mean, I can tell you that Tifway and Arden look pretty good together. I can't say how Arden would look with other types of Bermuda. So just something to keep in mind. If your hybrid Bermuda looks great, there's no reason to complicate the situation. So it just depends on, I guess you have to ask yourself, Brian, what are you trying to accomplish by overseeding with Arden 15? If you're saying, hey, I just want to turn my lawn into a mutt lawn and I want to, get some of the benefits of Arden 15, so it's going to come out of dormancy sooner and it's going to go dormant later, and it also holds up as far as like heat tolerance. It's staying green when it gets hotter. It actually does better than Tifway. If those are your reasons, and you're also willing to go through a lot of the headache and everything that goes along with it, like a crazy high water bill and the lawn looking splotchy the first season, then yeah. But if those things sound unappealing to you as they would to most people, then don't do it. So hopefully that helps. Hope to answer your question. All right. And then Timothy Bluegrass for chimes in more. He says, at Castleberry, carbon is the building block of life, so I'm guessing foliar apps help the plant. Not 100% sure. Yeah, so I answered the question. But yeah. I mean, there's only benefits to it. I mean, the things that are on the product label are nutrient uptake, improving cell wall strength. It has tons of benefits to the grass, Timothy, and Castleberry. All right, Neil says, oh, nice to hear you grew up in St. Eustatius. I had a lot of Poenia in my lawn. Any tips that would help? Do I need to do a complete renovation of the lawn? No. Well, first of all, it depends on what kind of grass you have, right? If you have POA, and I'm assuming you don't want to have POA, I'm assuming you have like warm season grass. Well, no, you say you're calling from Holland, so Holland you're not going to have warm season grass. I don't know if tenacity will kill POA. That's a good question. For cool season grass, I don't know if you what you would do for that. And I don't even know if you can even get the herbicides that we use over here over in Holland, Nils. So I don't have an answer for that one. Let me do some research. Actually, you know what? I'm going to reach out. I'm going to take that question. I'm going to run that one by Robbie from Premier Lawns and see what he says, because he's a guy that deals with that kind of thing, deals with POA, deals with other weeds and cool season grass, and they don't have the herbicide that we have here in the US. So give me, let me take that question under consideration. I will get you an answer next week. I'm just making a note here. I'm going to ask Robbie and see what he thinks about it, because if anyone's going to know, he's going to know. Great question. Great question. Nor Darwich says, my grass is dead. We hired a landscaper and he doesn't know why my grass is dead. I don't know. Without pictures, it's going to be hard for me to tell you why your grass is dead too. Nor it could be a lot of things. When you say dead, does it mean like the entire thing is dead? Does it mean certain parts are just discolored? It could be a lot of things. It could be fungus problem. It could be not enough water. It could be grubs. It could be armyworms. It could be, there's lots of things that can cause parts of your lawn to die off. So without pictures, it's really hard to know for sure. But yeah, I mean, it's difficult to answer your question without a little bit more context, unfortunately. So if you want to add that in the chat, I can help. We can see if we can revisit it and I can help you out some. But yeah, just saying it's dead, it's hard to know what kind of help I can give you without a little bit more information. All right. Great question. Let's see what else we got here. I saw you guys want to have the question about foliar carbon, so I answered that. So that one is good. Next up, we got Higgy Pop. He says, hello all, happy Friday the 13th. It is Friday the 13th. I didn't think about that. Yeah. Happy Friday the 13th. Thanks, Ron, for all the great videos. Let's all hit the like button for Ron. I appreciate it, Higgy Pop. Yeah, if you wouldn't mind, I'd very much appreciate it. Definitely do that. I always appreciate the support in the live stream, and it's free for you guys to support the channel. All right. Dave's lawn vlogs. This is an interesting one. He says, "Hey, I was watching the OSU extension today, and one of the professors says that glyphosate will no longer be used for residential. Any thoughts?" It's probably a good idea. I mean, most people have done bad things to their lawns with glyphosate than have done good things. So yeah, I mean, outside of like spraying weed patches or beds, that's the big use of it. I personally am not, I would not miss glyphosate on my lawn at all, because I don't, or if it went away for residential use, I don't, doesn't really mean anything to me because I don't really use it. There's people that do a lot, but then for them, maybe they'll have a thing with it. But for me, the thing with glyphosate, unless you're doing renovations, that's really the only place where I see that really has a fit. And using it as a means of weed control, the biggest benefit to it, unless you're targeting things like Dallas grass or goosegrass, like what SMK was saying, is that it's cheap, right? Like really, the best way to keep weeds out of your lawn is to use pre-emergent in the fall, use pre-emergent in the spring, and that's going to take care of a lot of your weed problems. If you don't do that, that's when you get to spend a lot more money on the selective herbicides to kill the weeds after the fact. So glyphosate going away, whatever. I am not personally going to miss it if that actually happens. All right. Next up, we have Mazama Blues in the house. He says, "Hey, picked up Miramichi Green Pest Control, spraying that on the lawn now. Thanks for bringing it to the store. How often can I apply it at the lower rate? Thumbs up for Ron, everyone." Yeah, great. So, great question. First of all, Mazama Blue, thank you so much for the love and support. As far as how often you can apply it, every 2 to 4 weeks is fine. If you're dealing with something like you've got like if you got some pests that you're trying to control, you might want to lean more towards that 2-week time frame just to get rid of it and to keep it away. Another way to think about how you can use that, Mazama, is if you have company coming over, right? So you're going to be outdoors, you have company coming over, regardless of when the last time you sprayed it, you can actually go out there and apply it again. It's not going to hurt anything. It's a great way to help mosquitoes away from like guests and out of the lawn. You're not going to hurt anything. Put it this way: the more you apply it, the only thing you're really hurting is your pocketbook. That's the way to think about it. You're not going to hurt the lawn. You're not going to hurt your shrubs or anything like that. It's just a function of money. The most efficient way to apply it that gets the most benefit is to use a fogger, and that's why I showed that in the video, because literally with a backpack sprayer, you get 3,000 square feet of coverage, thereabouts, with 8 ounces of it. With a fogger, you get like 7,500 square feet of coverage. So it's a lot better coverage if you use a misting system. But as far as how often to apply it, every couple of weeks. Every couple of weeks will work well. All right. Next up, SMK. Let's see what else we have. What else we have going on here is see you guys going on about foliar, about carbon. And then next we have Lawn to Learn. Says, keep that celebration at or over 1 inch for a few months. You could real mow it when it roots. Yep. Once it roots in, you can. But I mean, he said he put it down, or he's applied it, Lawn to Learn, over a month ago at this point, right? So it should be fine. I mean, I'm not sure how low he's trying to take it, but I mean, again, I have literally I've had sod installed on my lawn, and I've real mowed it from day one, and it's been fine. Granted, I was cutting it at 3/4 of an inch. So to your point, I was around that 1 inch marker, but I'm pretty sure it'd be fine. All right. Next up, we have Kelby Ruiz here. He says, "Hey Ron, the sides of my house are thin because no sun. What height do you recommend? 2 inches looks good. I don't see the point of mowing it low. Just looks bare. I feel like I should just let it grow." Okay, so if we're dealing with Bermuda, Kelby, just a kind of a 2-part question there. So it is thin on the sides of near your house, probably because it's getting less sunlight there. So that's like thing one. And then as far as the height, I mean, Bermuda can look good at 2 inches, but it will look, if you want it to be really like super thick and super dense, cutting it shorter is going to help with that. So you don't have to real mow it. You don't have to cut it really at even 1 inch if you don't want to. But the shorter you mow it, like Bermuda's the kind of grass that does well at lower heights of cut, if that makes sense. So something to consider. I mean, but go with what you like, because I mean, to your point, Alex's how can I say this? Alex's brother-in-law's wife, like they're from up north, and they actually like their Bermuda taller. They don't like it super short because they came from like fescue lawns. So for them, like the golf course lawn looks kind of cool, but they actually like their grass a little bit more spongy. So it depends on the look you're after. But just Bermuda in general is going to do better the shorter you cut it. So hopefully that helps. Next up, we got Troy Ridley here in the house. He says, "Hey Ron, in live stream, Bermuda is growing through the sand. Thank goodness. I was worried. I think I'm watering too much 3 times a week." You could be, Troy. You could be watering too much. Depends on how much water you're putting down in each of those sessions. If the grass looks good, back it off some. Back it off to twice a week and see how it does, Because the thing with putting too much water on the lawn, especially when temps are higher, is the increased likelihood of having or causing a fungus problem goes up. So just something you want to balance as far as that goes. All right, I think I already did see our super chat, so we'll move on to the next one. Zach calls in the house. He says, "Hey Ron, what's up? Happy Friday, my man. Very happy to see you here in the live stream." And then let's see here. So Timothy Bluegrass said, "SMK, how do you use the laser precision with your average sprayer?" I think Timothy's probably one of the trolls that likes to terrorize the channel. But his question around carbon platinum is what I'm referring to by that, guys, is release zero, NutriKelp, and BioSpectrum. Pretty much the products that are in the carbon kit. That's what I'm talking about in that video. And Timothy, I appreciate you watching the content. So continue doing that. Thank you so much. All right. Next up, up New York lawn or Emilio says, "I'm not Team Allet yet. I'm picking up a new to me McLean tomorrow, so I'm excited." All right. Yeah, I guess you're right. I did miss your follow-up question, Emilio. I apologize for that. All right. And then Dalvin Larry is back. I knew it. I knew it was going to happen. He says, "Ron, you got me. I lied. I have another question. My hard mode seeding project is coming in well, but with a few spots I didn't take. Should I just spot reseed, or is it too late, or should I just mow? I would just mow. I would just mow. Is what I would do, Dalvin. I would not put more seed down. You and I have been, in addition to you and the live stream, you and I have talked quite a bit back and forth in email. I'm sure you got plenty of seed down. Just give it time. It's going to start to grow in. If there's any areas where the seed did not take, eventually the Bermuda will spread into those spots. So I would not put down even more seed at this point. I think your lawn's going to be just fine. All right. We got some questions about Bermuda in Kentucky. So Travis Birch says, "Hey Ron, can you talk about Arden 15 versus vegetative varieties?" Not sure what you mean by that. He says, "I'm looking for something to try Bermuda in Kentucky." As far as Bermuda, not something that I'm a fan of because you're mixing, and I'll tell you why. I mean, some people do it and they have good results with it and they like it. They like the look of it. I'm not a fan of that because you're mixing cool season grass and warm season grass. And that just wreaks havoc should you ever have to spray herbicide. If you're using PGR, now you have to ask yourself, which rate do you use, right? Because the rate for PGR for warm season grass like Bermuda is quite a bit lower than the rate for cool season grass. So you're complicating a lot of the applications that you put down on your lawn. So I just, for me it's just not for me. And plus a big reason is I don't like to gut there mow the grass when the weather is really, really cold out. So that's kind of like why I don't oversee my lawn with ryegrass, is another reason why I would not do Bermuda. So just something else to consider. But go for it. If you want that look and you like it and you're fine with like the complications that go along with having like warm season grass and cool season grass at the same time, go for it. Something to try for sure, right? All right, next up we got a super chat from S. Bender. Appreciate that so much.
Super chat received.
She says, "I appreciate all you do." Thank you so much, S. Bender. I really appreciate it, and it's good to have you back. I know you've been away for a while, and I'm glad that your lawn is doing well. G Freeze in the house says, "How do y'all stripe action?" And we have another super chat here from Andrew Watley. He says, "So I lowered my height of cut and made a rookie mistake and didn't bag my clippings. Choked an area and it wouldn't green back up. Coming back slow. Advice? Just time at this point. The clippings are already down, so there's not a whole lot you can really do, right? Andy. I mean, what can I say? You could not necessarily scarify, but you could scarify. You could try and remove some of the clippings, but honestly, just give it time and keep mowing and let the grass grow through it. Let the grass grow through it. Let me come down here and take care of some other super chats. We got one here from Ben Raham.
Super chat.
He says, the Ron Henry live stream is the modern hardware store for us to hang out. Thanks, Ron, and give him a like. It's free. I appreciate that, Ben. And then let me get down here and take care of some super chats. One here from LG.
Super chat received.
He says, congrats on 25,000 subscribers. I appreciate that, LG. Yeah, today the channel crossed 25,000 subscribers. Big milestone, and just got to keep going. So thank you guys so much for all the love and support. Yeah, pretty cool. I will drink to that. Lemonade toast. Cheers. Cheers to 25,000 subscribers. Upward and onward. And then finally, our last super chat currently is from Emilio.
Super chat received.
He says, now that I'm joining the real team, I'm prepping a big epic video. You know me. If you like Star Wars, you would you like to be a part of it? I do like Star Wars. I'm more of a, now here's the thing, I don't even know why I'm saying this. I'm just going to catch hate for this comment. I am more of a Star Trek fan. I personally think Star Wars is like a soap opera in space. I don't think there's really anything special about Star Wars. That's me. Now, I know I'm probably going to get people are going to come after me hardcore for that one, but I prefer Star Trek over Star Wars. But, yeah. But up in New York, Lana, Emilio, hit me up, man. My email is ron@golfcourselawn.com. Shoot me an email. Let me know what you're thinking. And yeah, I'm happy to help out and collab with you on something if you want. Be very, very cool. Let's see what else we have here. Pirates says famous race car drivers in the chat. Very cool seeing Joey. Is Joey a famous race car driver? All right. Next up, we have Dwizzle has a question about pre-emergent and rotation. He says, I've been using prodiamine for the last 2 years. Do I need to switch it out to something else this fall? How often should I rotate? Here's the thing. Like around here, put it this way, my buddy of mine has a lawn care service. I'll give you answer 2 questions, right? You could technically use prodiamine in spring and fall without issues. What I would do is use prodiamine in the spring and then use something else in the fall, like say dithiopyr if you want, or if you want to use something that has some prodiamine in it, like Coastal, you could go with something like that if you want. But as far as rotating it, like I watch a lot of the spray trucks that come around here, and like every year in the spring, all you're seeing is that yellow spray coming out of them. So prodiamine, as far as there being like an issue with weeds forming resistance to it, that might eventually become a thing, but I've not really seen that as yet. I've not heard of it anyway. I've never had a question about as far as anyone coming and saying, "Hey, I tried prodiamine on my lawn and I did, I got weeds just blew up everywhere because of resistance issue." If you're trying to be super cautious, Dwizzle, what you could do is do like one pre-emergent type in the spring, again like prodiamine in the spring, and do a pre-emergent with a different active ingredient in the fall, like dithiopyr, or you could use something like, if you really want to use a baller one, go something like Spectacle Flow. That's a really, really good pre-emergent. It's expensive. It's a really good one. But yeah, you could just rotate between spring and fall and just keep doing that every year. You'd probably be fine going that route. All right. Next we have Vashon Brooks in the house. He says, wow, I made it. Yeah, you did. You made it, Vashon. So thanks for coming to hang out in the live stream. It's kind of cool. You did make it in here as well. And let me see what else we've got questions here. So guys, as I keep going down, I'll tell you guys what the giveaway is going to be for next week. On the topic of foliar carbon, or of liquid carbon, we're going to be giving away a couple of things. One is if you'd like to get your hands on a hat, also something that was given to me by the nice folks at Miramichi Green. I had dinner with one of their people the other night. It was really cool, chopping it up, talking about lawn care stuff. If you like the opportunity to win a Miramichi Green baseball cap, a hat of you can't. I don't know if you can actually buy these, but if you'd like a chance to win one, that's going to be something that's going to be in the giveaway for next week. In addition, there's going to be four prizes, and they're all pretty good. Next, you're going to get a chance to win. I don't have that's wrong. You're going to get a chance to win Release Zero and NutriKelp. They gave me some samples of this. So these are two of the components in the Golf Course Lawn Carbon Kit. Release Zero is 10% micronized carbon, and then NutriKelp is 24% kelp and 2% micronized carbon. So you will have a chance to win this, and I'm doing two of those. So you're going to have one person's going to win one set, and then another person will win another set. And then because it is the season, we're getting into the fall time, and all the cool season guys are starting to get ready to put all kinds of cool stuff on all kinds of stuff on their lawns. It is the season for soil testing. So in addition to those other prizes that we're going to be doing next week, they're also going to be giving away a My Soil Test Kit. So if you're interested in any of those things, be sure to tune in next week. I still got more questions to go through, but I want to do that before we get too late into the show. So it's going to be a total of four prizes. You got the cap. That's going to be the grand prize. There's only one of these, and I don't think you can really buy these anywhere. Like you can only really get them, I think, from Miramichi Green if you beg and plead. And then 2 people will win. These are each 8 ounces, so this is plenty. Let me see. So 8 ounces is 2 ounces per 1,000. So what is that? 4,000 square feet of coverage is what you get with that. So so it's enough for you to try it out on a part of your lawn. And then finally, the soil test kit. So tune in next week to be able to get that. Now, as far as what you have to do to win, super easy. You don't have to be a subscriber. If you want to subscribe, I'd really appreciate it. But to be entered to win, you have to put a comment in this live stream when it's over. It's not, you can't do it yet because the stream is still going on. But once the live stream is over, you got to put a comment in the chat. And the question I'm asking you guys, and the people that actually are the diehards are going to have an advantage on this. But the question is, what is the name of my Arden 15 plot that I'm growing in the backyard? You don't have to put it in the chat because doing it in the chat just does nothing for you. You have to put that in the comments once this live stream is over. So the question again, I have like 3 plots growing in the backyard. I've got like ryegrass, which is pretty much dead at this point. I've got some zoysia, and then I've got an Arden 15 plot in a planter. The Arden 15 plot has a name. What is the name of the Arden 15 plot? What do I call it all the time? Put that in the chat or in the comments of this live stream once it's done, and then you're going to be entered to win one of those 4. And if you don't know the answers, you can just do is wait for the people that do know and just copy them because no one's going to know, right? But that is the question. I'm sure Papa Mo's Low is ready to go. He already knows the answer to that one, as does LG and a few others. Okay, next up, I'm gonna see what other questions we got here. We got one from Pirate 2031. I think it's a question. He says, following up on last week's question, I just moved in and mowed Bermuda lawn. That's right, you're the one that did this, the crazy height of cut reduction from 9 inches to 2 inches. Mowed 3 times this week with a true cut. It's greening up nicely. A couple more weeks, it'll be looking good. That's awesome, man. That's great. Thank you for the update. I was interested in finding out how you were doing it. I appreciate you coming in and letting us know because going from 9 inches to 2 inches that's a crazy change. And there you go. Kind of like what I always tell you guys, if you do a height of cut reset, in his case, it's a major height of cut reset, a height of cut change. The grass is going to be just fine. Bermuda will survive that. It's just going to look ugly while it greens back up. So it's cool, man. It's cool to hear Pirate 2031 that you are getting your mow on and that it's producing a good result. All right. Vashon says, big fan of your content, RH. As a fellow person in the Caribbean in IT, I'm obsessed with my lawn. You are an inspiration. I'm glad to hear that, man. And yeah, so a fellow person from the Caribbean. Always nice to meet other island people. And it's funny. It's kind of not really a pet peeve, but some people. A person the other day was telling me, you say Caribbean, it's Caribbean. I was like, no, actually it's Caribbean, because like if you look at the origin of like why it's called the Caribbean, like the people, like the indigenous people that were there before everyone showed up and like raped and pillaged and destroyed everything, were the Carib Indians. So that's why like Caribbean. So it's actually Caribbean, not Caribbean. But I mean, either pronunciation is accepted. But if you are from the islands, like most people that grow up in the islands are going to say Caribbean. They're not going to say they're going to say I'm from the Caribbean. They're not going to say I'm from the Caribbean. So just fun fact, if you care. Probably don't, but now you know. The more you know, right? The more you know. All right, next, Dave's lawn vlogs. He says, at Brad's, a great resource for your turf is State University. Most of them will run programs and usually offer advice. You can usually send samples in for identification on active products as well. That's actually pretty good. Very, very, very cool. That is very true. Dave's lawn vlogs. All right, next up we have cars, motorcycles, and exotics. So 3 things, and I guess all of them are fast. He says, hey Ron, I've been using your protocol since spring, as well as putting out Carbon Pro G. It started out great, but something is not right. I also have True Green coming every month. I have turf grass. I'm not sure what THTS means. I don't know. I guess you have to tell me like what's happening, cars, motorcycles, and exotics, and what are you? Okay, so if you're following my protocol, if you're following my protocol, which is granular carbon, and you're spraying liquid carbon along with like liquid fert twice a month, and then True Green is still coming out and they're doing stuff too. It might be too much. It might be too much from the standpoint, at least from a fertilizer standpoint. So if you don't mind, send me an email. Like I had my email address up here, but just Ron at Golf Course Lawn. Like tell me like, or drop in the chat exactly what's happening. And I can dig into it a little bit more, but just saying that things are not great. It's hard to know exactly what's going on. I mean, if you're saying that you may have some spots of the lawn that are struggling, that you may have some yellowing, some of that is just the time of year, man. Like it's really hot right now, and unless you're keeping enough water on the lawn, like pretty much all worm season grass is getting a little bit of stress. So you may not have that same insanely green pop that you had like in May, June, like when Bermuda tends to look really awesome. So if you're having a little bit of yellowing, it's probably just the time of the year and the amount of heat that we get, coupled with probably not enough water on the grass. But I'm just spitballing that without actually having the details of exactly what's going on. But if you want, shoot me an email and I'll help you out. Great question. I appreciate you following the program, and it sounded like you were getting good results, but now we're having some challenges, so I'll help you out with it. All right, Robert Rainey says, thanks as always. I appreciate you, Robert. Thanks again. And Dwayne is in the house. He says, hey, Ron, thank God it's Friday. Had a live stream with Ron Henry in the lawn care community. Love it. It is fun, right? I mean, we have a pretty good time of just hanging out and just cutting up and being lawn care miscreants, right? It's always a fun time. So thanks for coming to hang out, Dwayne. Very, very nice. All right. Winter has a question about prill size, I guess. He says, hey, good evening. I'm late to the meeting. Just a comment about Humic Max. Love this stuff, prill size and all. I have gotten an excellent response from it after PGR and Brand Supreme Green. Yeah, man, it is good stuff. I gotta tell you, Humic Max, not only because of the prill size. First of all, it's made by Lebanon Turf, right? They don't, when it comes to fertilizer, those people take their fertilizer very seriously. And the fact that you're also getting almost 9% humic acid whenever you put down Humic Max as well. It's kind of a bonus. You're feeding you're getting some N and K, you're getting some nitrogen and potassium, and you're also putting down some humic acid. And then as far as prill size go, I got it tied up here. For those of you guys that don't know what he's talking about, the prill size in Humic Max is an SGN, or a size guide number, of 150, which again probably means nothing to you unless you actually mess with a lot of fertilizer. But what it means is, if you look at that, if you look at the size of that, it's like just slightly bigger than like take a needle and like the like a ball of a needle. It's around that. Actually, it's smaller than that. It's around the size of an eye of a needle. It's very, very small prill. And so why is that important? Like Winchariot brings that up and says it's really awesome. He loves it. But why would you want a finer or a smaller prill size? Well, whenever your grass you start doing all the things that I talk about and other YouTubers talk about getting your lawn better, and it gets thicker, it gets more dense, a smaller prill, a finer prill, is going to get past the canopy, it's going to get past that thick grass and down into the soil easier than a larger prill. So that's why a finer, a smaller prill is an advantage. So yeah, so what he's talking about, if any of you guys are new to the live stream and wondering, like, Humic Max, what are you talking about? Humic Max is a fertilizer that we were able to make available this year that Lebanon Turf allowed us to carry. It's available at the Golf Course Lawn Store. And this is it. The formulation is a 1608. And again, it's 16% nitrogen, 8% potassium, and it's got almost 9%. It's like 8.9% humic acid. It's an excellent fertilizer. Literally no one that has tried this fertilizer has come back to me and said, hey, Ron, I tried it, didn't work, didn't like it. Like, everyone's had really good results with it. Of course, I might get someone tomorrow to tell me they didn't get a good result with it, but for the most part, everyone has had really good results with Humic Max. So try it out. Give it a shot if you're looking for a very high end, excellent fertilizer. I really wish that Lebanon would have just sprung for the 9% humic acid, because now every time I talk about it, I have to say like 8.9%. It's just harder to say than just saying 9%, right? But if I say 9%, then someone's going to say, oh, no, it's actually not 9, it's 8.9%. So you have to try and be correct as possible. All right. Next up, Dwayne Hopkins says, hey, Ron, have you seen the BYD video on to use Scott's lawn soil fix burn Bermuda from too much fertilizer. Curious if you think it's a good strategy. Yeah, if you're talking about the video where he says, is it the one where he says fix your lawn for $3? That one? The short answer is yes. I mean, like BYD is like a staple when it comes to Bermuda lawn care. I mean, he knows a ton about Bermuda grass. And as well as far as like his recommendations or what he says about fixing bare spots or fixing parts that you burn. I have seen at least one of his videos, and the advice was sound. It was great advice. So yeah, I think what he's saying makes a lot of sense, and it will. I mean, here's the thing: if you burn your grass, like what he's recommending is not a silver bullet. It's not like you're going to do the things he's talking about, which I think was remove as much fertilizer that you spilled, get rid of that. Rake out like the dead grass. Put down, I think this Scott soil lawn fix that you're talking about. And then water it and just wait for the grass to grow. It's going to help speed things up some, but it's still going to take time. So it's not like you're going to do this and then like a week later, the bare spot's going to be gone, the grass is going to be all filled in. But to answer your question, yes, his content is good, and I agree with his advice, his strategy on fixing fertilizer burns in Bermuda grass. I think you should actually absolutely do what he's saying, because all I'm going to tell you is just wait. I don't have better advice for you than that. I'm just going to say wait, or just watch BYD's video. All right. So we got Timothy Wolf's in the house. Timothy, what's going on, man? Yeah, you made it into the live stream. It's better late than never, but thanks. It's always great to see you here. I like that. I like seeing you around. And let me go down here and take care of a super chat from Mr. Vashon Brooks.
Super chat received.
I appreciate that, Vashon. Thank you so much. It's very, very generous. Thank you for supporting the channel. All right. So our next question up is Mark. He says, hey, what's going on, man? Hope you're doing well. I am. Thanks for asking. And then Dave's Lawn Vlogs has a question about KBG. He says, how low can you mow Kentucky bluegrass? I've read recommendations for 2 inches, but I've seen it cut lower like Connor Ward. Yeah, so there's different varieties of KBG, but you absolutely can real mow it. You can cut Kentucky bluegrass under 1 inch without a problem. There are varieties that do better on that than others. I mean, but check out Connor's video. Find out what he's using. I know Baron Brugg makes some really good makes a high quality grass seed. So you might want to look into their offerings. But I'm sure Connor probably, if he doesn't have his own fertilizer line yet, you can check out and see what he's putting down in his lawn and go with that if you want. But yeah, you absolutely can mow Kentucky bluegrass below 2 inches. You can mow it short. You can mow ryegrass short. Fun fact, if you look at Augusta National, like what you're looking at when it's nice and green whenever the tournament's going on, that's ryegrass. It's not actually Bermuda. It's not a warm season grass. The only grasses that you cannot or you really should not mow short are like tall fescue and St. Augustine. Like anything that has tall in the name probably means that it needs to be left tall to do well. Okay, and I'll see what other questions we've got. So Vashon has a follow-up here. He says, I pay a lawn service, Weed Man. They put down fert, pre-emergent lime, and spot treat weeds. Is it more cost-effective to do it yourself without a backpack sprayer? It depends on how much you're paying them. Is it more cost-effective? In the first year, probably not. In the first year, probably not. And I said I'm not sure I don't know how much you're paying them, because I've heard prices for lawn care service for just doing what you're talking about, anywhere from like $35 a month up to like $75 a month. So if they're charging you that and it's every month, then yeah, you absolutely can do better doing it yourself. The question you have to ask yourself, Vashon, is a couple things. Can you get a better result? If you ask me, can you get a better result doing it yourself than you can with a lawn care service? Yes, that you can do. Mainly because you're going to be spending a lot more time in the lawn than they are, and you're going to be paying attention to things that they're not going to be paying attention to, because your lawn is like one of hundreds, maybe thousands that they're working on, right? But then as far as it more cost effective, it's really about what is your time worth to you, because when you get to the point where you're putting down fert, if you're doing it the way I recommend doing it, which is like a spoon feeding program, you're going to be out there every month, at least once a month. If you're doing the backpack spray, which you don't want to do, so it's going to be at least once a month out doing that. You're going to be putting down lime, and then you're going to be out doing pre-emergent as well, in addition to your fertilizer apps, at least twice a year. So if you like working in your lawn, you enjoy that, then yeah, it's totally worth it. But if you don't like doing that, then it's probably not. It's probably better to pay someone to to take care of it. So the answer is it depends. It depends on you. For me, I could not go back to paying someone to take care of my lawn, mainly because they're not going to take care of it the way that I want. And I don't really need it at this point. You know what I mean? I can do it all myself. So, and I value my time, but I enjoy spending time in the lawn. So that's why I do that. So hopefully that helps answer your question. Hopefully it helps with the decision-making process as whether or not you want to keep your lawn care service or not. But yeah, great question. All right, Dwayne has a question about Spurge. Hate Spurge. Horrible weed. He says, hey, Ron, I'm battling Spurge, but I don't have a herbicide that won't hurt my lawn with the temperatures that I'm in. Would Spectricide weed killer and pre-emergent be a good option in heat? No, it depends on how hot, Dwayne. Spectricide up to like 90 degrees is okay, but once much above that, your lawn is going to take a little color hit, a little setback from doing that. It's not likely to kill it, but it is going to knock back the color some. I wouldn't do pre-emergent along with it. Like, just wait till the fall at this point to do pre-emergent. If you want something that will kill Spurge and is not going to, has a much, much, much lower chance of doing any kind of damage to your lawn in higher temperatures, go with Celsius. But now you're stepping into a herbicide that's a lot more expensive, but it is one that meets the criteria you're talking about. Take care of Spurge and not cook the lawn in the process. So I've already put the link to it a couple times in the chat tonight, but I will link it here again in case you didn't see those. Just for you, Dwayne, you get your very own Celsius link. The thing with this, Dwayne, is you really got to read the label for that because there are 3 different application rates listed for Celsius on the label, and it's based on which particular weed you're taking care of. So just read the label and you should get a good result. The testing that I've done, I've applied it here recently at the high rate on my lawn with no discoloration, no issues at all when mixed with certainty on top of that. But just read the label and see what it says and go with that as an option. And then Zach also has another alternative here. He says use Blindside for cool season treatment of POA. So there you go. That's an option. Zach, you can spray Blindside on cool season grass. Let me check here. Let's check the label here really quick to make sure that is correct. Is that right? Yeah, it says, yeah, you can actually use it on KBG, it says here. So yeah, so that's an option for POA. Thanks for chiming in on that one, Zach. And then next up we have Taylor Ursu is in the house. He says, I've watched your series with Alex again yesterday. Great tips and short videos, way better than super long videos. Yeah, it just depends, man. It depends what you're after. Some people love the really, really long videos, and that's, if you like that, there's tons of content for that. For the most part, I try and make content that I would want to watch. Like, I don't like crazy long videos because it just takes more time, right? I can't watch more content if I have to sit there and sit through like a really long video. So I appreciate it, Taylor. I'm glad you liked the series and glad you enjoyed it. And that, you're getting some value out of it. And speaking of Alex, we have Alex Lee in the house. He says, what's up, grassy people? So, Taylor, the Alex in the golf course lawn series, in the Fix My Ugly Lawn series, is the guy in the comments right now, Alexander Lee. So yeah, if you have any questions, hit him up. He was actually out mowing. I think he mowed today. Didn't you mow today, Alex? I think you mowed today or yesterday. No, you mowed yesterday. We both mowed yesterday. Yeah. So, but yeah, he's out there all the time when I'm mowing, every other day out there mowing just like when I do. So, very, very cool. And then Randy Gentry, he says, I have some chamber bitter coming up on my fescue in Texas. I've been pulling it up manually. That's a strategy, Randy. I don't have a lot of options for you there on chamber bitter. I know that SMK is talking about a concoction he did there with Celsius, but you have fescue, so we don't want to do that. And he had another concoction that was MSM Turf, Dismiss, and one other thing. You have to tell me what it is, SMK. But again, that's warm season grass. So I don't have off the top of my head what you could use for that on a cool season lawn, but look at the check the tenacity label, maybe check the Blindside label, see if that's a label for your lawn and if that will take care of it as well. Great question. Sorry you're dealing with that, but manually getting it out is always a strategy, right? All right, Ron Saldivar says, what fall pre-emergent do you recommend? I have Bermuda and I'm located in the Dallas, Texas area. So you can go with prodiamine, you can go with dithiopyr, that's an option too. If your budget permits, you can go with a really nice or a higher end pre-emergent is one called Spectacle Flow. It's a really good pre-emergent, but it's also very, very expensive. The one that I'm going to try out this year is one from it's called Coastal. It's prodiamine. It has prodiamine. It has I think simazine in it, and then imazaquin. So it's got 2 post-emergents, and then prodiamine as the pre-emergent. And I was watching some research from a professor. I think his name is Bert of Turfgrass. Someone told me there in the live stream last week, which I forget which universities is, but he tried. He compared Coastal up against Spectacle Flow, which again is a very high-end pre-emergent, and he got really good results with controlling POA without hurting green up or having any adverse effects on the lawn. So Coastal is a really good herbicide, and it's a lot cheaper. It's something that I'm going to be trying out this year. So if you're looking for something to try, you can give that a look. Ron in Dallas on your Bermuda lawn. So something to give a go. There's going to be some content on it, so just stay tuned for that one. Okay. Next up we have Connor. Yeah, he says Coastal says yes, it's the same cultivar that Augusta National uses. That was a major reason for using Pen A. Amazing fungus resistance and heat resistance. One of the best cultivars for sure. That's really cool, man. Yeah, and it's funny thing about that. They say it's Pen A1. I wonder if it's the same. I wonder if the stuff that Augusta National is using is the same stuff that they are selling to everybody else. Because they have the budget. They can probably get stuff that, I guess, whatever they want, like custom design for them. I wonder if it's exactly the same thing. In other words, is the Pen A1 that you're buying, is it the same Pen A1 that AGNC is using? It'd be interesting to find out. But cool, man. I'm glad you got it down. It sounds like it's going in well. And you have to keep us posted on how it does in your case. All right. Don chimes in. He says, hey, Ron, hope you have a great weekend so far. Love your channel. I appreciate that, Don. Thank you for watching the content and come hanging out in the live stream. And he says, I have some common Bermuda mixing with hybrid Bermuda grass. It bothers me sometimes. Do you have any suggestions? Not really. I guess if you're asking me, like, how would you get rid of the common in a hybrid lawn? There's people out there that'll tell you can spray glyphosate in crazy low concentrations, and that will hurt the common, but not the hybrid. But it's not something that I've ever seen. I've personally never seen it done, and I've never done it myself, so I don't want to recommend it to you. What I would tell you is just probably live with it. Unfortunately, I don't have a better answer for you than that. The more often you mow, in other words, if you don't allow the grass to get too long between mowings, the difference between the hybrid and the common isn't going to stand out quite as much. Now, granted, when you walk right up to it, you're going to be able to see like that's common and that's hybrid. But from a distance, from like the street or from the sidewalk, someone walking by, if you're keeping the lawn mowed short and you're just keeping up with your mowing to where the different growth rates is not really going to become that apparent, it's not going to be as big a deal. I mean, short of going on a crusade of trying to physically remove it, I just don't know what you could do, man. I don't want to give you a herbicide to go and try out or anything like that, because there's not really anything that you're going to put down that's going to target common Bermuda that is not also going to do bad things to the hybrids. So my best advice is just mow it a whole lot and just try not to pay attention to it too much. Because I promise you this much, Don. How about this? I promise you that you're probably the only one that notices it. Most people probably don't, they don't walk by your lawn and be like, oh my God, you see the hybrid and the common in his lawn? What's he doing? It's not happening. You're the only one that really notices it. So hopefully that's some consolation that helps a little bit. But yeah, outside of that, just picking up your mowing will help. All right. Josh Habib says LG and a giveaway. Yeah, man. Yeah, Josh. Yeah, we're doing a giveaway. If you didn't know, Josh, already, we're doing the hat, Miramichi green hat. 2 different samples of the release 0 and NutriKelp. That's going to be going out. And then the My Soil test kit of choice, which is the one from My Soil, that's going to be a prize as well. So it's going to be like 4 winners next week. It should be an awesome time. And all you got to do to enter, for those of you that are just joining the live stream now, is you have to put it in the chat, or not in the chat, in the comment section of this live stream once it's over. I have a Bermuda grass plot in the back, right? That Bermuda grass plot has a name. What is the name of my Bermuda grass plot that I have that I'm growing back there? And here's the thing, I'll give you a quick hint. If you don't know the answer, just wait for one of the diehards that do know the answer and just see what they do and just copy them. Just put the same answer in, as long as it's correct. But you do have to have that answer to be eligible. If you have some other comment, you're not going to be eligible. So Just something to keep in mind. All right. Robert Mahores says, thanks for reminding me Higgy Poppy turned 69 today. That's pretty awesome, man. Congratulations. Happy birthday, Robert, on turning 69. That's always good. And thanks again, G Free. I appreciate it. Yep, 25,000 subscribers is a pretty big accomplishment. I'm really, really blessed, and I never thought the channel would be where it is at this point, and now it's just upward and onwards. Thank you guys for all the love and support. I truly do appreciate it. We are winding down, guys. I'm seeing what other questions we have. Yeah, so Connor Souls has a question about the still combi system and the attachment. He says, you said you use the combi blower attachment. How does that work? Is it powerful? I have the KM131R, but never thought about the blower attachment since I still have a battery blower and it works well. So, Connor, I have the lowly K91. I think it's the K91R. And it works great. I have the K91R and it works great. Now, Alex, like you, he's got the big block. He's got the big boy combi power head. He also has a blower attachment, and it does really well. Like his it really puts out some volume. But mine, it works great. I mean, it's I don't have an electric blower. I don't know what kind of electric blower you have to be able to compare it. But I've never used the combi on my lawn, the blower attachment on my lawn. I thought, man, I really need like a more powerful blower to get all these clippings off the lawn or off the sidewalk. It's more than enough for what I do. So yeah, if you need a blower, then absolutely, I would absolutely do that if you already have the combi system versus buying like another standalone blower. Unless you live somewhere where that has like, if you have a lot of trees in your yard and there's tons of leaves, that's where having like a standalone backpack blower that has a lot more volume, puts out a lot more volume, might be better. But just for cleaning up sidewalks and like driveways, and also getting like heavy clippings, mowing clippings off the grass, it's going to be perfectly fine for that. Yeah, and Randy's chiming in. He says, "Note to self: copy the other answers." Yeah, man, because I want people to be entered, but I have to give you some kind of homework, right? And the way you can know is if you guys watch my YouTube stories, which I do in the morning sometimes. That's where I talk about the grass plots in the back. So that's if you're one of the diehards and you actually follow that, you would know what the name of the grass plot is. So there you go. And Genu says, yep, it's facts. It's Carib Indians. It's exactly right. So it's the Caribbean, or people call it, the Caribbean, but it's the Carib Indians. So that's why it's technically, if you're trying to be like an islander, you say the Caribbean. I'm from the Caribbean. I'm not from the Caribbean. That's a dead giveaway that you're either visiting or you're just not from the Caribbean. All right. Next up, Ricky Thompson's in the house. He says, I found army worms in my yard today. Did a bacillus treatment just now after a mow, but we have a little storm coming in. How much rain would cause me to need to reapply? I think you're going to be fine, Ricky. I mean, having some rain. You said a little storm, so a little bit of rain is not going to. It shouldn't hurt things too bad. What I would do is this: look at the label for the product that you're putting down, and on that label, it's going to have like a reapplication interval. It's going to say like to retreat. Wait this long before you do it. I would just follow that. I would not go down with another application right after the rain because of fear of having it wash away or anything like that. If you want something else, you can try as well for army worms. The pest control. Let me get if I can reach it. The pest control project from Miramichi Green. This as well. You can apply this along with whatever else you're putting down. And this also at the higher rates. You got to use it at like at least 8 ounces per 8 ounces per gallon. Is what you need to mix. You need to mix it at that rate, and at that rate, it can help with suppressing army worms. So that's something you can try as well as another option if you want to do something in addition to the treatment that you've already put down. As far as where you can get that, that is available for sale today and shipping now at the Golf Course Lawn Store. So shameless plug. But I got to pay the bills, right? And it's a good option for what you're looking for, right? Where you want something that can be like a stopgap in between of you putting down, putting down insecticide. That's a great option. It's also not going to hurt anything. It's safe to apply, not going to hurt you, pets, kids, anything like that. So it's a really, really good product. I'm really happy that we now have like an all natural, safe when applied per the label insecticide. Great option. Okay, Brandon Vizinu is in the house, so he's got a question, I think, about overseeding and antifungal. He says, "Hey Ron, I have a fairly new Bermuda in my new build, about a year old. What do you recommend as a spring pre-emergent and antifungal? Also, I've been considering overseeding with Arden 15. Thoughts?" Okay, so I'll answer the question in reverse. So Arden 15 overseeding next year? No, we're not going to do that because there's no reason for you to do it. You just got a brand new lawn. It sounds like you've got a new build. The sod is all even, and there's just really no reason to do it. So we're gonna forego that one. Next up, about the anti-fungus. The one that I recommend is you have a couple of options. You can go with an anti-fungus or a fungicide called Headway G. It's a little bit more pricey than some of the other alternatives I'm going to talk to you about here in a second, but it contains two active ingredients. You have propiconazole and azoxystrobin, and if you don't know anything about those, I'll just know that between the two of them, you have coverage that's going to take care of most lawn fungus problems. As far as when to apply it, if you are looking to prevent issues with potential fungus in the springtime, like spring dead spot, you can actually do an application of it once soil temps go below 70 degrees. So more around, if you're in, you can tell me where you are, but if say you're in the Georgia area, that's going to be like October-ish is when you're going to do an application of it for then. And then for next year, to prevent summer fungus problems, the May-June timeframe is the ideal time to apply your fungicide. So that's if you're applying only straight fungicide, all right? Now, another option is if you wanted to use something like a combination product like a Caravan G, which is a combination insecticide and fungicide. If you're going to do that one, you can use really the fungicide option. If you really want to get the most out of the fungicide, you still really need to wait till May. But if you want to really get the most out of the insecticide, you want to apply it a little bit earlier in the season, like early April, because that's going to help prevent grub issues and those kinds of things. So just depends on what it is you're really going after. If it were me and your budget permits it, I would do the fungus with one product, and I would do insects with another product. So for insects, I would do a Celiprin, because that's a separate product for that. And then for grubs is what I'm talking about, like grubs, annual bluegrass weevils, those kinds of things. And then for fungus, I would use something like Headway G. So if you're interested in that, I'll put links in the chat here. If I can find them, I think I can. There we go. Yep, this is a link for Headway, and that's what I would do, Brandon. Let's just stay away from any kind of overseeding this early in the game. You're just getting started. There's no reason to complicate things at this point. We got some rain coming down finally. I think I just had heard thunder or lightning or something. That's pretty cool. All right, and then for the insecticide I was telling you about at Brandon as well, that is this guy here. So that's a Celiprin. That's an excellent insecticide. So there you go. You're covered on both fungus and insects for your lawn. Let's not do any overseeding at this point in the game because you're just getting started. Okay, next up we have a question about turf type tall fescue. With Jay Clark, who says, "Hey Ron, a turf type tall fescue here in Northern VA, but we'll continue to follow your program this season. Minimal heat stress issues with your carbon-based program." That's awesome, and I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad to hear that you are getting good results, because this time of year, turf type tall fescue should be hating life. So, if coupled with your watering program, and also if you're using something like Hydrotan along with the carbon products, sounds like your lawn is doing well, which is pretty awesome. So I'm glad to hear that things are going well. Appreciate the feedback. All right, Winterizer is chiming in. He says, "My usual pre-emergent program is prodiamine in mid-September, simazine in November, and either prodiamine or dithiopyr in February." Thoughts? That works, man. It's a strong strategy. As far as a product that you can use, I mean, again, coastal is what sounds like you're doing on Wind Chariot is you're building your own coastal, is what it sounds like to me, right? So if you already have the herbicides yourself and you want to continue doing that, you absolutely can. But if you're looking for an option that has them all in one, if I can find it here, yep, there we go. I'll actually send this to you. There we go, at the Wind Chariot. Look into this. That herbicide Coastal, I think that link is correct, is is all those things you're talking about all in one. And it's now available in a 64 ounce. I actually reached out to do my own because before they only had it in 2.5 gallons. I'm like, hey, listen, man, like if I'm going to, if people are going to buy this stuff, no one's going to buy 2.5 gallons of it. So they finally got some in the smaller amounts in. So you actually can order it now if you want to. So, kind of what you're talking about, it's prodiamine, simazine, and I think amazoquin is what that is. And it's an all-in-one product. So if you want to save yourself some time and headache, you can just go with that. Hopefully that helps. But yeah, your strategy sounds good, sir. I concur. I would go for that. All right, Dave's Lawn Vlog says, thanks, Ron. I appreciate the videos. Got to run, some family time. I appreciate you, Dave. Thank you so much for coming to hang out. Always like having people in the live stream. And let's see what else we have here. JP Show Pro says, help. Does anyone have any experience over using the controller without the John Deere computer scan system on a John Deere 220E cut? Not me. I'm not sure on that one. I don't have any help with you on that one, JP Show. Maybe someone else can chime in. And yeah, Alex said, yeah, yesterday was mow day. Yeah, we didn't mow. I didn't mow. Yeah, like you and me, I didn't mow yesterday. I didn't mow today. We mowed yesterday. It all runs together. All right, Patrick Chikwura. Man, I'm sorry. I'm slaughtering your name, sir. I apologize. He says, hey, Ron, do you have any plans on reviewing some cheap reel mowers, considering the Sunjo electric reel mower? I've never considered doing it, but I can. The thing is, I don't. It's not something I'm going to use on my lawn, like regularly or all the time. So I don't know how much value it would be for people to see me reviewing a Sunjo, but it's something I can absolutely consider doing if you guys want to see it. I mean, if you guys want to see that, let me know. Like, hit me up in the chat, say, yeah, review a Sunjo. We'd love to see it. I mean, there's been other YouTubers that have done that, and I think they've done pretty good reviews on it. So I don't know really what I would have to add to it outside of what they've already said, if that makes sense. Plus, it's not a mower that I actually use on my lawn, so there is also that. All right, Vashon has a question about a manual reel mower or entering into a powered reel mower. He says, I'm mowing 7,500 square feet 2 to 3 times per week with a manual reel mower. Lawn looks great though. The face you made is so awesome. He said, what's a great entry-level powered reel mower? So the way I always answer this question, Vashon, is the first criteria is what can you get fixed in your area? If you can get like a true cut fix in your area, that is what I would go with. Like I'm a huge fan of true cuts, mainly because they're built really well. They're built really, really rugged. And you can pick one up used for $650 to $1,000, somewhere in that price range. And normally in pretty good shape. And with good service, they're gonna last you a really long time. So that is what I would recommend. Other mowers that are in a similar price point, or you can get around the same price, are like McLean's or California trimmers, but I'm not a huge fan of those. I like the propulsion system of the True Cut better. I think the True Cut's better built than those other mowers. And at least around here in Georgia, finding a place to get it worked on is not that difficult, right? So those are the reasons why I would say True Cuts. If you're going for an entry-level mower, True Cut. Okay, and next up we got Daryl Tunstall. I think Daryl has a True Cut. You can ask Daryl what he thinks about his True Cut. He says, hey, Ron, the Nutrisolve is awesome. Putting micronutrients in the soil. This is the first year. My micro is up, plus your spoon feeding program is nice. I appreciate it. Thanks, Daryl. I'm glad that you're getting good results. Yeah, man. I mean, Nutrisolve is a great product because, the thing is what you find is in a lot of liquids, you'll find like liquid ferts that will have like some of the micronutrients. So most of them will have like some iron and maybe some zinc and manganese. But the other ones, like the boron and copper, are normally lacking. Whereas with Nutrisolve, literally it has everything. So if you want like a liquid micronutrient that you can apply along with your liquid fert to make sure you got like a nice complete package, it's a good option. And the nice thing about that is like if you're mixing it along with something else. So for a good example, if you're using Nutrisolve along with TurfPlex, you can actually go at a much lower rate that's on the label. So like the label calls for 6 ounces per thousand. But if you're mixing it with TurfPlex, you can get away with like 3 ounces per thousand, 4 ounces per thousand, because TurfPlex already has a bit of iron in it. Really, you're just using Nutrisolve at that point to boost like your zinc, copper, and zinc levels. So that's the nice thing about it. Like 1 gallon of it's going to go a long way if you're using it along with other fertilizers. So something else to keep in mind. All right, so SMK, Randy SMK is chiming in with you on some choices there about getting rid of chamber bitter. He says crossbow at 4 ounces per acre. Again, keep in mind, like SMK, the rates he's giving here are per acre. So you need to take that number, that 4, and divide it by 43 to get the per ounce rate. It says on chamber bitter and fescue will work. We'll report back to Ron next week with those results. Okay, so there you go. So he's doing more testing, and let me know. But yeah, so wait till SMK chimes back in, and then we'll go. All right, Real Roller says 20K plus and climbing. Hey man, it's 25K plus and chiming, man. Don't take away my 5K. Lee, you know, I worked hard for those 5,000 subscribers. So yeah, it's 25,000 and subscribe and climbing. So yeah, man. It's pretty awesome. I'm very, very happy with where the channel is going. So it's pretty cool. All right. Donna Hale says, have army worms invaded Georgia? They're wreaking havoc here in central MS. Is that Missouri or Mississippi? I don't know. I'm gonna get in trouble for that. I'm not sure. I think it's Missouri. I think. But yeah, no, I have not had any issues with it in my lawn. Alex hasn't had any. I haven't had anyone around here, like any of the neighbors, ask me or stop me about army worms. But then again, Alex and I both put down insecticides on our lawn. So I did a Celiprin. Alex did Caravan G. You know, so yeah, we haven't had any issues with that in our problems in our lawns. All right, next up we got Kevin Dow. He says, have you tried any of the Ewing Irrigation brand Emperor fertilizers with any success? I have not, Kevin. I've not tried any of their fertilizers. I mean, there's people that I'm sure use them and have good results with it, but I personally have not used them, so I can't really speak to it. So I would just check their website, check out the reviews, check YouTube and see if there's anyone else that's using those fertilizers and see what results they're getting with it. The fertilizers that I like my fertilizers of choice, are the ones from Lebanon Turf, in particular, Humic Max. So the one that I'm using is this guy. It's a 1608, and that also contains 8.9% humic acid. So it's a great fertilizer that's not only going to feed the grass, it's also going to feed the soil, right? So it's a great combination product that we're very, very fortunate Lebanon Turf agreed to make available to sale for DIY, because normally Lebanon doesn't really deal with DIY, right? So it's really cool that they're making this happen or allowed this to happen this year. So if you're in the market for a great fertilizer, give Humic Max a shot. It's great stuff. All right, Daryl has a question. He says, hey Ron, I'm having trouble with my True Cut tires in the lawn. I noticed my tires and has no traction. I ordered tires from Real Rollers, got them today. Yeah, swap out the tires, man. It could be that if you've got like any kind of a slope, especially when the grass is wet, you might get a little bit of spinning out. But if you got new tires, yeah, swap those out and see if that helps the situation. It should. It sounds like your tires are bald, so yeah, do that and it should help the situation as well. And then Connor, this man is all about his golf greens, is saying that, so Augusta uses a mix of Pen A1 and Pen A4. I would love to mix some Pen A4 into it, but it's the smallest size you can get is a 25-pound container, which is too expensive for me, especially since it's $350. I got you. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing you have to take with a grain of salt, right? Whenever you hear like, oh, Augusta National is using this fertilizer, or I don't even disclose what fertilizer they're using, but they say they're using this fertilizer, or they're using this seed, and they're doing this kind. I mean, you take it with a grain of salt. They may be using something of that brand, but it's probably blended custom for them. They're getting it, they're getting exactly what they want. So you can get. It's almost like when you watch like a pro tennis player or a pro golfer, right? You watch like what Rory McIlroy's clubs are. You watch what Tiger Woods' clubs are. Yeah, you can go buy that particular line of clubs from I think it's TaylorMade they're hitting now, from TaylorMade, but you're not getting the same clubs. You're not getting the same irons that they're using. You know what I mean? So it's like it's close, but not exactly the same. All right. Next up here we have Moro. Moro joining the live stream. He says XY19. He says, hey Ron, it's Moro. Sorry for joining late. Question on Celsius uncertainty vid you had mentioned earlier at a rate per 1,000 square feet, but also mentioned a 2-gallon mixture. Are we supposed to double that rate in 2 gallons? No, yeah. So the reason why, what you're talking about is what Moore's talking about is in the Golf Course Lawn Academy. We have a private Facebook group where I do like some behind the scenes stuff, and these guys already know what's coming in the video that's coming out on hopefully Sunday. We'll see if I can get the edit done. The thing with that, Moro, is that the reason why I talk about a 2-gallon mixture is because per the label, Celsius you can mix in 1 gallon increments, or there's a rate for that. Certainty they recommend mixing in 2 gallons at a minimum. So just I know there's people. I actually call one of my buddies that has a spray serve. He's like, yeah, dude, you can totally just mix it with 1 gallon. It'll be fine. But the label says 2 gallons, and I'm gonna make a video on the herbicide. I want to make sure that I'm at least I'm putting out information that is in line with the guidance that's on the label. So that's why that's where the 2 gallons comes from. So you don't need to double the rates. The rate that I'm going to talk about in the video, it's gonna be super clear. Like it's literally gonna be do 2 of these, do this, and if you follow that, you're gonna be using the exact same rate that I've been using on my lawn, and I've gotten really good results with. So if you want Moro, I'll just hit you up in the chat in the Facebook group. I'll put some notes in there. Or I'll just message you and I'll tell you exactly what the rates are that we're using. So good stuff. All right. You're very welcome, Ricky Thompson. He says, thanks for the info on the pest control of armyworms. You are very welcome, sir. Yeah, man, give it a shot. If you want something new to try out the pest control. It's the Mirror Green pest control. It's a great product. Smells good. Not going to hurt the fur babies. And you're in great shape. All right. Real Rollers is having a weed problem. He says, after sanding the plots, all of a sudden the Bermuda plot is crushed with nutsedge. That tends to happen. Maybe you might have brought some in with it. That's not uncommon to bring weeds or some kind of trash in whenever you bring in top dressing mix. It doesn't always happen, but it can happen. Says, watch your video on using image. Can I spot treat versus apply to the whole plot? Yeah, you can absolutely do that. Lee, you can use image. Image is a slower working one. It's gonna take a little bit longer. You can use image. That's gonna work just fine. If you want like something that's like a more of a baller herbicide for sedges, go with something like Certainty. But that one is a little bit more involved. Like literally with image, you can go down to like, a big box store, hook it onto your hose and sprayer, spray the different spots, and you're done. But it's going to take 2 weeks before you start seeing results, right? Whereas you use something like Certainty, you're going to see results faster. But then now we're talking about a pump sprayer and measuring stuff and mixing stuff up. So it depends on which one you want to go with. Either one is going to work, but Certainty is going to probably be a bit faster, and it also has better cover. Like there's not, out to my knowledge, there's not any sedges that Certainty will not kill. Image can have questionable results depending on the kind of nut sedge that you're targeting with it, right? So if you just have like the regular standard green nut sedge, the small ones, like it'll probably be okay for that. But like certain, like if you have like the purple nut sedge or other types or other sedges in that family, image may not work as well. Whereas Certainty is going to pretty much kill anything in the sedge family anyway. So just something else to keep in mind. And Chris Dada has a good point here. Yeah, the ortho nutsedge killer will work as well too. That will work, but that's also going to discolor your grass. That's the one caveat with that one. That one works really fast as a spot spray, but it is going to discolor your lawn. So just something to keep in mind. All right. Next up, we have a question here from Christopher Stevenson. He's saying, what are your top 3 broadcast spreaders? I can tell you my one. I like my Earthway. I haven't honestly used that many of them, right? So I've had the Scots. I've had the little baby Scots. I like everyone else, like probably most people in the live stream, I started out with the Scots. So I had that one and it worked okay. It's a little bit, like kind of scary when you had fertilizer in it, if it was going to tip over. I've had a Scots and then I went to the Earthway and I've just had no reason to really switch away from it. Main reason why I like the Earthway so much is because it's not that expensive. Like it's a good prosumer level spreader. And because of that, like most of your higher end or professional grade fertilizers or other products, there's going to be a rate or a setting for the Earthway on the bag. Whereas if you get into Scots, I don't know what it is that like the professional market has against Scots. Maybe they just don't want like homeowners using their stuff. That's why they do it. But you won't find Scott fertilizer settings on most professional products like their fertilizers or fungicides. You just won't find that, right? Whereas the Earthway, it's a nice stopgap that you will have coverage for the professional level products. That's why I like that one. I don't have any 2 more. I mean, there's the Lescos are good. I've never used one, but I've not had anybody that's had a Lesco one that didn't like it. But yeah, the Earthway is what I would go with. That for me, that is the alpha and the omega of broadcast spreaders. So yeah, hopefully that helps. Chris Dada says, I had an algae problem with my lawn, scalped, aerated, and laced the entire lawn with soil 3 compost. My lawn looks outstanding. The compost did the trick. Will compost and sand to help with a drainage issue? Or I think you said you will do compost and sand to help with a drainage issue. Yeah, it can definitely help. Chris, like for me, I always say this anytime you hear me talk about top dressing. Is the biggest benefit that I got from top dressing, the biggest thing that why I'm just a huge fan of it, in addition to making the lawn look really cool. There's always that, right? But is like the drainage problems I used to have in my lawn literally went away after I top dressed it. Like after the first top dressing, like where I used to have problems with water just settling, not even after a heavy rain, water would settle there and it would be there for like literally a full day and a half, just be sitting on the lawn, slowly drying out. Now that it's been top dressed, like the ability for it just to pull water away from the surface is awesome. So, while it was really cool being able to mow shorter and it just in general just looks cool, like the irrigation benefits, the drainage benefits that I got from top dressing is why I'm such a huge fan of it. So yeah, I think you're gonna like the results you get from it. And you going with the like the Soil 3 compost and sand blend from Supersod, it's good stuff, man. You're gonna like it. All right, next up is Zenali has a question saying, can hydrotane cause fungus? I put it on my lawn about a week before we had days of heavy rains. Then a couple of weeks later, the grass started to have brown spots that grew and grew. I've not heard that one, Zenali. It depends. I mean, I'm trying to think about this. It draws moisture into the root zone. I mean, I've never heard of that one. I guess, is it possible? I guess theoretically, yes. I mean, if you went super heavy, but I don't, I've never heard of anyone putting down hydrotane on their lawn and then having a fungus problem. That would be a first. I've not heard of that one. Too much watering will definitely cause fungus problems. Like too much watering coupled with high heat will cause fungus issues, but I've not heard of hydrotane causing that. Just, out of an abundance of caution, I'll reach out to them. I'll ask them if there's any chance of that, that being a thing. But yeah, no, probably not. Probably not. I'm gonna lean on the side of saying no to that one. All right. Let's see what else we got. We got Vashon talking about Swanee. So no carting his mower back and forth to the shop. And then Real Rollers says 28K. I don't have 28,000 subscribers. Not unless a bunch of people subscribed in the last couple hours. That would be sweet, but I don't think that happened. But yeah, no, I'm pretty sure I'm at 25, Lee, but I appreciate the vote of confidence of where things are. You see things going. We will get to 28,000 eventually. So yeah, we're definitely going to go there. Okay. Jason Tam has a question about crabgrass and then reseeding. He says, what is best to manage crabgrass and then reseeding after clearing a full lawn of crabgrass? What is the best to manage crabgrass and reseeding after clearing a full lawn of crabgrass? I don't know, man. I say once you get rid of the crabgrass, I mean, the best way to manage crabgrass is to not have it in the first place, which comes from pre-emergent, right? So if you if you got rid of the crabgrass now, it sounds like you're doing a seeding project. If you got rid of the crabgrass now, what I would do is do your seeding project, like put the seed down, get the seed to establish, get the lawn to grow in nicely and get the seed established, and then treat the crabgrass after the fact with a post-emergent. The challenge with putting down anything now to target the crab, in other words, you kill off the crabgrass, so say you want to put down a pre-emergent to prevent new crabgrass from coming in. If you do that, it's going to negatively impact the germination you get from your seed. Now, I think the whole thing about like pre-emergent and then you won't get any seed to grow is a little bit overblown because I have seeded with pre-emergent on my lawn. But I will tell you that if you seed without pre-emergent on your lawn, you get much, much better results. So, you're going to go through all the effort and cost associated with reseeding. I would, knock out the crabgrass ahead of time. So right now, let's say you're going to seed in 2 weeks. Let's just go through a step-by-step of how I would do it. You're going to seed in 2 weeks. I would do everything I could now to eliminate the crabgrass. Put down a post-emergent now to try and smoke out as much crabgrass as you can. Then when you put down the seed, you're done with any kind of herbicide on the lawn until the seed germinates and starts growing in. Once the seed grows in, it gets established and is doing well. If the crabgrass is still an issue then, and you want to use a post-emergent to take care of it at that point, that's when I would do it. But you have to kind of pick what's important to you at that time. If seeding is important, that's the thing you really want to do well. You're going to have to live with weeds for a little while to be able to get that. Kind of like whenever you top dress your lawn and you may get some weeds from top dressing. That's what's one of the things that can possibly happen as part of that. But the positive is you get a top dress lawn, and now next year you don't have to deal with that. You have to top dress it again next year. You have a smooth lawn, and you're going to put down pre-emergent. You're not going to have weeds. So it's hard to have everything all at one time is what I'm trying to get to, Jason. So seeding is probably to me more important than eliminating all the crabgrass. So I would focus on that. Hopefully that helps. All right. Brandon says, I was looking for a pre-emergent. I'll probably try the coastal. Living just west of Houston, I assume I apply for spring, summer, or would October be as well? So here's the thing, Brandon. For me, I would use coastal as like my fall pre-emergent. You could use it for spring too, but I would use it more for the fall. And then for the spring, you could do prodiamine then if you want to, but then use something different. Use like dithiopyr or something in the spring. If you wanted, but I would save coastal for more as my fall pre-emergent than a spring one. You can use it for both, but for me, it's probably going to be the one I go with in the fall. Great question. All right, and you also said I've used Carbon Pro G because of your recommendation. I've seen great results. Thank you. Glad to hear that. Always like to hear that, sir. A lot of people have different mixed feelings about the benefits of carbon in your lawn. Granular carbon, foliar carbon, but I have yet to find anyone that's been using it, and I get an email from someone that tells me, hey, I applied like granular carbon and my lawn is worse. I applied like the carbon kit and my lawn looks worse. My grass looks worse. I've yet to get that email. Again, there might be one sitting in my inbox right now. But through a lot of the products, so I haven't gotten that email, as yet. So it is great stuff. It is an investment in building great soil, which just a byproduct of that is great grass, right? So glad you're getting great results with that, Brandon. Thanks for letting me know. All right, Chris has a super chat.
Super chat.
I think I already did your super chat, Chris, but you got a second one. So thanks for sharing my knowledge. You're very, very welcome, sir. Thank you for coming to hang out in the live stream so I have someone to talk to, right? Okay, next up we got Mazama Blue. He says, follow up on the Miramichi Green pest control. After applying it to the lawn, is it okay for it to sit on the leaf blades or should I water it in? You should absolutely just let it sit on the leaf blades. So here's the thing. That's a great question. And I was talking to the fine folk over at Miramichi Green about this as far as watering in. Really, in addition to making products that are natural and that are built that as much as they can are built using a sustainable process. Like none of their products require that you water them in to activate. So for the Carbon Pro G, you don't have to water it in. You can put it down and just wait for it to rain. All of their foliar products, so like the carbon kit, that's why I even tell you guys, when you guys seen the video that I did on how to apply it, I tell you guys specifically, you don't need to water it in. Like literally apply it and let it sit on the grass. The same thing is true for the pest control. Apply it and let it sit on the grass. There's no need to water any of their products in, mainly because if you think about it, right? Like we are, like the DIY community is like a teeny tiny part of what of Miramichi Green's business model, right? Like, I mean, it's growing to some extent, but we are a small part of what they do. But if you think about like who their big customer is like equestrian centers and golf courses and professional turf. If they have to go tell someone, hey, go buy Release Zero and buy, whatever, NutriKelp, and then go, apply this to, tens of thousands of square feet. And then, oh, by the way, now you have to go turn around and run irrigation on top of that. Like that's not, it can happen, but it's not a great value proposition. So by design, none of their products require being watered in. None of them do. So, and the same is true for the pest control. You spray it and just let it sit. You don't need to water anything in to activate it. It's going to work just fine as is. Great question. But I figured, you asked me a great question, so I wanted to take that time just to kind of just clear the air. Don't need to water any of them in. All right. So Kelby Ruiz is chiming in and saying, hey, I think I need to do some spot leveling. Thinking about you and USGA Santa for the vanity strip. Too late in the season? You're getting there. It's getting pretty late, Kelby. I mean, if you're going to do it, go light, like go really light. It's still super hot in Georgia, so that's on your side. If you're going to go for it, just go light, because we're at the point now where I kind of was telling people last week, if you're trying to do any kind of leveling project or small leveling work, you kind of get on it. You don't have much time for the lawn to bounce back if you decide to you wait too much longer. And using USGA sand is not a bad idea because that does a better job. One, it's going to be cleaner. You're not going to have any trash in it. And the hardness factor, the hardness rating of USGA sand is higher than like just masonry sand. So as from a standpoint of putting something down that's going to hold the leveling better, like it's going to resist wear better, USGA sand is a good option for that. So good stuff, man. Let me know how it works out. All right. SMK says, hey, Ron Henry, I may have missed it, but I sent you super chat. Congrats on the 25K. Got to bounce. See you next week. No, I think I got your super chat, SMK. I'm pretty sure I did. I'm pretty sure I did. If not, I'm doing it again anyway. Where you said,
Super chat received.
Congrats on the 25K subs. So if I did it, you did it. You got 2, right? Because so thanks so much, man. I really appreciate it. I appreciate people like you and other viewers, everyone that's the diehards that are hanging out here, is why the channel has grown to where it is. So I really, really, truly do appreciate it. Let's see what other questions we've got. I think we are beginning to wind down. We're starting to wind down here. Let's see. Hortho has a question about managing clipping snakes after it rains. Oh, okay. I see what you're talking about. He says, Horty says, what's the best way to manage the clipping snakes? You call them clipping snakes. I call them like zebra stripes after it rains. I like to mulch instead of bag, and it's fine clippings, but I always have the issue even after scalps and bag cuts. Yeah, so what you can do is if you have a push broom, like a heavy push broom, you can get out there and just the day after and just here's the thing, Horty, I got to warn you, you are going to look like a crazy person doing this. Your neighbor's going to walk by, they're going to say, why is he out there with a push broom, like sweeping his lawn? But you don't care about that. You want your lawn to look nice. But yes, a push broom does a great job of breaking up those stripes or breaking up the grass clippings, and it tends to work them into the grass, right? So as far as like spreading them out, breaking them up, and making them kind of settle down into the grass, like the next time you mow after doing that, you're not going to see it as much anymore. Alternatively, you can also use a leveling rake. If you have a leveling rake handy, you can use that too. That works really well. And it's probably a bit easier than the push broom. But most people don't have a leveling rake, but pretty much everyone has a shop broom laying around somewhere. So if you got that, that is what I would go with. There's actually a video, believe it or not, if you look on my channel, I actually did a video like what to do after a thunderstorm. Like look up to go to Ron Henry's YouTube channel and just look up just Google or YouTube or search English Ron, search for thunderstorm, and a video will come up and you will actually see me out there like a crazy person with a broom on my lawn. So you can see that I'm actually practicing what I preach, and it does in fact work. Very cool. All right, let's see what else we've got. Yeah, Brandon says, I love the 60-pound Echo, and it's probably half the cost. Yeah, that's a good point, Brandon. The Echo is half the cost, but the Echo is not on a lot of labels, so that's the issue. See, so part of why I like the Earthway, the Method to My Madness, is not only that it's well built, it's gonna last a long time, is also the fact that it's considered a prosumer level spreader, meaning that pretty much everything that I apply, if I go out and I get like Heritage, Heritage G, like a fungicide, like a professional level fungicide from Syngenta, there's gonna be a label, a rate on that bag for the Earthway. For the Lebanon turf fertilizers, there's a rate on the bag for Earthway. I don't think there is one for the Echo. I can look here. I might be telling you a lie, but I don't think so. I don't think Echo's on there. Yeah. So that's a big part of it, right? That's another reason why, to me, like a spreader is something I'm going to buy once every 5-6 years, not very often, and it's worth the convenience of knowing that when I buy this, that I'm going to be able to get settings for anything I'm applying because I have that particular one. But good point. To each your own. And yeah, to your point, you can save some money on the spreader, but then you're going to get into like conversion tables and that kind of thing. So just something to keep in mind. Okay. Kelby says, I have a bare spot that I'm trying to get the grass to spread. When I water heavy, a green moss-like stuff appears on top of the dirt. Any idea? Okay, so that sounds like algae, like an algae or a moss problem that you're having there, Kelby. So let's back off on the watering. The best way to get the grass to spread, if it's a small one, is just, you can pick up your mowing in that area or just in general, like that's going to do it. But if you want to get that bare spot to fill in a little bit sooner, like I would invest in something like a pro plugger, like that's going to pull like little like plugs, I guess the best way to describe it, plugs of grass out. So you're going to get some of those out of some healthy spots of your lawn, and you're going to transfer those to the bare spots, and that's going to further speed up how long or how quickly those bare spots fill in. But just hammering it with water isn't going to do much. Like as you're finding out, it's going to cause more problems. It's going to do more harm than good. So I would like back up on the water. Either just pick up your mowing frequency a lot, just be patient, let it go in, or get some plugs and transfer plugs to those areas, and you will be good to go. That is what I would recommend. Okay, Edmund P has a question here. He says, hey, I have a side of my house that's not getting enough sun, and my Bermuda is not growing. Can I use Xeon Zoysia on the shaded area, only getting approximately 4 hours of sun? 4 hours of sun is not a lot, Edmund. It just really isn't. It just really isn't. Even for Zoysia, I'd like to say more along the lines of like 6 hours of sunlight. I don't know. I mean, I hate to tell you to go do that because it's going to be an expensive project to go put the Zoysia in, and then you go do that and it doesn't do very well. Now, here's the thing. I can tell you this much. The Zoysia is going to do better than the Bermuda will. So if the Bermuda is growing in that section, like if it's growing at all, like if it's not just bare dirt, then that tells me there is some hope for the Zoysia. Now, is it going to do as well as it possibly would do with more sunlight? Probably not. But if the Bermuda is growing in the area that's only getting 4 hours of sunlight at all, then the Zoysia will do better than the Bermuda. How much better? Hard to say. That's the $1 million question. That I can't tell you. But if Bermuda's growing, the Zoysia will grow there and will probably do better. That's the best answer I can give you, unfortunately. Okay, guys, I think we are chiming. We're running down. Let's see. We got here. Randy Gentry says, with global warming, everyone will be switching out to warm season grass. Hopefully that doesn't. I mean, I'd like to see more people having warm season lawns, but hopefully we don't have to have a global warming event to make that happen, Randy. But that's one way to do it. I guess it's one perspective for sure. Okay, let's see what else we have. Spidey is saying, 1970 says, I'm planning on overseeding this fall. I currently have perennial ryegrass. I'm thinking of overseeding with tall fescue / Kentucky bluegrass. Is this recommended? I live in New York State. There's people that do that, Spidey. I guess the question is, do you like tall fescue? Do you like how tall fescue looks and how Kentucky bluegrass looks? If so, then yeah. You absolutely can do an overseed. If it were me, I would be more prone to do a ryegrass KBG blend, like a ryegrass Kentucky bluegrass blend, versus tall fescue, because if you ever decide you wanted to mow lower, you can still get away with doing that with the perennial rye and the Kentucky bluegrass. Whereas the tall fescue, you're pretty much on mowing at taller heights if you go with that grass type. So this consideration. If you never plan on real mowing, using a blend like that is going to be just fine. I actually think that at some of the big box stores, they sell grass blends that have exactly what you're talking about in there. So yeah, you should be absolutely fine to do that. All right, Martin Mueller says, dear Ron, thank you for your service to the do-it-yourself DIY or DIY community. 25K is a testament to all your efforts. Dankeschön, Martin. Thank you so much, Martin. I really do appreciate it. You guys are really, again, this would not be happening without you guys. So thank you guys all so much. And then let's see, Grace says, hey Ron, I've been on since the start. I just didn't have any questions. Thank you, Grace. It's good to know you were here. You're just lurking, but I'm glad to see that you were here. You made your presence known. Clint says, enjoy your content. Your yard looks great. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And then SMK, LOL at Ron Henry. Must be my computer freezing every 10 minutes. I can't watch the live stream at 4K anymore. You must have some NASA type bandwidth. I do have a lot of bandwidth. I have plenty of bandwidth. Bandwidth is not a problem, assuming people don't come out here with a ditch witch and cut the fiber coming to my house. But yeah, bandwidth is not a problem when it comes to the live stream, which is why I can stream in 4K. But just go on a 1080, man. I mean, to be completely honest, SMK, like live streaming in 4K is completely overkill. It's completely overkill, not necessary. The only reason I do it is because I leave the streams up. So if you figure, I don't know, 5 years from now, several years from now, when 4K becomes the standard, or if it ever becomes the standard, then the content I'm creating is pretty much future-proofed. And also people that watch the live stream on like a big screen TV, it will look better in 4K. So that's why I do it. My computer will do it. I got like the horsepower to be able to do it, and I've got the bandwidth to do it. So that's why I give that as an option. So that is the whole reason why. All right, Robert Mahoris has a question about AccuGauge. He says, will you be talking about the AccuGauge? I think I should be getting the Flex 18 and the John Deere 2500 triplet. Thanks again for spending your Fridays educating us. Robert, where you been, man? I already have a video on the AccuGauge. I actually have a video on the AccuGauge and the groomer gauge. So I've got like video content on both of those. So if you want AccuGauge, if you look up, let me see, what's the video called? I think it's called just AccuGauge. If you just search for AccuGauge, yeah, there you go. So if you look up my video from last year on the AccuGauge, I can actually show you that. So just go to my channel and just search for Accu, Ron Henry Accu, and it's spelled AccuGauge like ACCU-gauge. Like I was spelling it like the other way, and the nice folks at AccuGauge say, hey man, it's actually spelled like with a hyphen, so make sure you put the hyphen in there. So I put the hyphen in. And actually what I'll do for you is I will get the link here I'll save you time. I know you don't want to have to go look it up. You don't have to go search for it, right? So this is the link that is public, Robert. So check out this link for how to set up your height of cut using an AccuGauge. And what you can also do is if you just go to AccuGauge's website, there's a couple of videos there. This same video, I also gave it, it's also available for AccuGauge. Like I actually did this video for AccuGauge as well too. So it's on their website. If you go there and you just look up like their like learn more section or whatever it is, you'll actually see the same video that I'm sending you on their website. So to Robert Mahorez, that is the video for setting up an AccuGauge. And if you have a groomer, I have a video on setting up a groomer gauge too. So there you go. I got you covered, man. I got you covered for like the 16 of us in the country that actually have AccuGauges and use them on our real mowers. There's a video for that. All right. Let's see what else we got here. All right. Brandon, he says, okay. He says, I've noticed about the labels, but Echo claims their rates are the same as Scott's. Case in point, Brandon, on most professional herbicides or fertilizers or fungicides, you're not going to find a label. You're not going to find Scott's on the label. So that's the thing. So again, either way, you're right. So what you can do is you can get like a Lesco or you can get an Earthway, and you can get a conversion chart to Scott's, and then you can convert from Scott's to Echo, or if you get Scott's, it's the same thing as Echo. But my point is that both Scott's and Echo, there's nothing wrong with those spreaders. Nothing wrong with them. But for whatever reason, I didn't make the rules. For whatever reason, by companies that make professional grade fertilizers and professional grade like fungicides and insecticides, in a lot of cases from what I've seen, they don't list Scott's on the labels and they don't list Echo on the label. So yes, you can find matching rates, but you're not going to find a Scott's setting or an Echo setting on the bag. So you're going to have to go through the trouble of getting a conversion chart. That's why I keep saying, that's why I like the Earthway. That's my reasoning behind it. So hopefully that makes sense. Again, I got nothing against Echoes. I think they're a great spreader, but I just like to keep making things as simple as possible when I can. All right, so Chris Bruton is saying, hey, I learned a lot tonight. Thank you, sir. You're very, very welcome. And thank you, Papa Mo's Low. You finally made it in. He says, hey, Ron, I've been driving and I got to a point I can type. No questions, just saying good evening. I appreciate it, sir. Hopefully you got the grandson back to the state of Georgia safely, which is pretty awesome. And then our last comment is Rahul Burman. He says, congrats, Ron. You deserve it more and more. Best of luck. Okay, awesome, guys. So awesome stream tonight. You had tons of great questions. It was tons of fun. So remember, for the giveaway, just to reiterate, so we have the Miramichi Green hat, trucker hat. I don't think you can buy these. I think you can only get them if you probably call them, ask really nicely. They may send you one. I don't know. But yeah, these are not for sale to my knowledge. You have that. You have 2 people are going to win samples of NutriKelp and Release Zero. So two of the 3 components in the Golf Course Lawn Carbon Kit. So these are each 8 ounces. So that's going to cover up to 4,000 square feet. So that's going to help you out. And then finally, one of the last, but also I think one of the most important giveaways is going to be the My Soil Test Kit, guys, because it's that time of year where you should be testing your soil going into the fall. So the test kit is going to be a thing. So next week, when we do the show, the way you enter is super easy. Once this stream finishes, go into the comments section, and for the comments, what you need to do is you need to answer this question. The question is, what is the name for my Arden 15 grass plot, my planter in the backyard? The name is not Arden 15. My grass plot actually has a name. So you can just put that in the chat. That's how you enter to win. And again, like a little cheat code. If you don't know the answer, someone that does know is gonna put in. You just see that, and you can just copy them, right? But you have that is going to be a requirement to be able to win, to enter to win, because this is with the Miramichi green stuff. I want that one for the more of the diehards. So you at least got to do that comment to be eligible to win. All right, and then let's see what else we got here. Yep, and then Robert says Ron, Xeon Zoysia will not survive at 4 hours of sun. I'm in Raleigh and I have Xeon for 15 years. So there you go. That answers the question. A man that knows says 4 hours of sun is going to be no go. There you go. So don't waste your money on it. And then finally, Vashon Brooks, this is the last question of the evening, really the last question. He says, any milo alternatives that don't stink as bad? Most organic fertilizers are going to have some kind of a little tinge to them, Vashon. If you don't want to use milo, a great alternative that's like way better than milo, in my opinion, is Humic Max. So shameless plug, you've got this Humic Max is the fertilizer of choice, the one that I use and recommend. This is a great alternative to milo. It is not organic, but it's an excellent fertilizer, and it doesn't smell. So if you want something that's better than milo and actually cheaper than milo to apply, so when you actually do the math on the application rates, like the cost per 1,000 square feet, Humic Max is actually cheaper than Milorganite is, and it's a better fertilizer, and it doesn't smell, but it's not organic. So just depends on what your criteria is for choosing your fertilizer. And I think that's it, guys. I think that's it. Let's see. Actually, no. Spidey has a question here. He says, second question, sometimes I mow my lawn. I see white moths flying around. You mean, are they white moths or white flies? It might be white flies. Is this something I should be concerned about? Also, thanks for the other question. Thanks for the answer to the other question. No, you shouldn't. You don't need to be worried about it. But the pest control, this will kill those. It will kill those. That'll get those out of your lawn. So if you hate having them, they're annoying. You can spray the pest control, spray it all over your lawn, and that will. It is labeled to take care of those. So hopefully that helps. Well, guys, thank you so much. I truly do appreciate it. Again, awesome stream. Again, thanks for all the love and support, and for us getting the channel to 25,000 subscribers. Pretty awesome. Make sure all you guys enter to get a chance of winning some of the swag and the giveaway stuff for next week. I think that's it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you guys next time. Have an amazing weekend. Be sure to check out the videos I'm going to be publishing Sunday morning. For those of you guys with warm season grass and are looking for a herbicide option that's going to work in higher temperatures, I think you guys will like it. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Take care.